I need a nice girl to go on. I may gotta make moves. I need the right girl if it goes wrong. The game plan got all growth. I'ma hold up you if you hold down. From the streets to the sky to the moon. I'ma hold up you if you hold down. To me, 'cause I wanna hold on, darling, lovingly. I wanna hold all night, but when you close to me, she wanna hold on me. I wanna hold my queen. I wanna hold on, darling, lovingly. I wanna hold on and X all your dreams. Is it a go? On and X everything. You get the night that you want. You get the light that you need. Just gotta hold on to me like I do with you. 'Cause I wanna hold on, darling, lovingly. I wanna hold all night, but when you're close to me, she wanna hold on me. I wanna hold my queen. I wanna hold on, darling, lovingly. I wanna hold. And what you hold inside is so right. And when you hold me tight, and when you hold me tight, and when you know it's right, and what you hold inside goes so right. 'Cause I wanna hold queen, yeah. She wanna know, is it me, yeah. 'Cause I wanna hold every thought and every dream. And she wanna know, is it real? 'Cause I wanna hold on, darling, lovingly. I wanna hold all night, but when you're close to me, she wanna hold on me. I wanna hold my queen. I wanna hold on, darling, lovingly. I wanna hold on for me, hold on me, hold on for me, hold on me, hold on me, hold on for 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 me, lovingly. 'Cause I wanna hold.
Tokenmetrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Ian Velena. It's a pleasure to have everybody here. Today, it's going to be just me. Bill had to take the day off, but it's going to be a great show. Looking forward to answering as many crypto questions as you guys have, probably for almost 3 hours. So we have, right now it's 6:10 p.m. over here in Washington, D.C. metro area. I'm going to try to go until 9 p.m. So that's about 3 hours. Let's get into it. Let me give out the Menti code. Just give me a second here as I get it pulled up. So if you go to menti.com, that's MENTI.com, and put in the code 571332, that's 571332, to submit your questions for the Ask Me Anything. All right, so in today's live session, we'll go through the actual impact of the coronavirus on the global economy. Everybody thinks we're going into a recession, and it's pretty much confirmed, I think. And now the question is, what's the actual impact? So for about 10 minutes or so, I'll dive into the actual impact. This is coming straight from a newsletter we emailed out to customers this week. So most of you might already have this already, but just kind of want to talk about this and really begin this discourse. So if you have any questions and you want to submit them, go to menti.com, MENTI.com. The code is 571332. All right, so shout outs. Let's see who was first in the chat here. Hey Mark, how are you? My DMs. So I'm guessing you're talking about on Telegram or WhatsApp. I haven't been much on WhatsApp. I've kind of been busy, but I'll be sure to check my DMs. Etincula, we have liftoff. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Hey Malik, how are you? Bridget Stafford, how are you? Great to have you here. Mind Blocker, we're doing amazing, baby. How you doing? Amazing as well. Great to have you guys here. Bip J, are you still in Bitcoin or have you abandoned? I am still here. I am still here. Hodl to the moon and beyond. All right, Dragon Ball Crypto, what's up? Great to have you here. Alice in the house, how are you, man? Yusuf, hello, Yusuf. Great to have you here. Bit Center, crypto in the house for sure. So happy to see you every day. Thank you for all that you do and the knowledge you share. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate the kind words. Sean, hey, what's up? Great to have you here. Dillian. Ian, by the way, your portfolio, you're definitely a risk taker. I mean, I think by being in crypto, we definitely are risk takers. But I would say we calculate our risks, right? That's what makes it different from gambling. I think any investor is a risk taker by nature. And that's why investors expect a risk premium with their investment. King Nick, hey, what's up? Salute. Great to have you here. Michael, I think I am addicted to this show. I have been waiting since 5 p.m. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate you guys as well. Hey, Sam, how are you? What are your thoughts on XRP? Maybe we'll cover that because that was part of the email we put out this week. I am MG Tao, no wife, no kids, money saved for emergencies such as this. Okay. Brooklyn in the house. All right. Thank you all so much. Definitely appreciate this. All right, let's get into the show. Let me share my screen here. Looks like the audio and everything is fine. All right, as usual, this is not investment advice. We're just purely sharing our cryptocurrency opinion on news and events happening. Always consult a legal and financial advisor before investing in crypto. All right, with that being said, if you haven't yet already, be sure to sign up for tokenmetrics.com, 14-day free trial. We've had a big uptick in the last 2 days. I would say since Friday. So we had two big affiliates join the Token Metrics affiliate program. And if you haven't yet joined that already, I encourage you to go to partners.tokenmetrics.com. So we had BitBoy Crypto join the affiliate program. Let me see if I can pull up his video here real quick. And we also had Alexander. Let me see, BitBoy Crypto. And let me pull up the Alexander video. Alexander Lorenzo. So just wanted to say thank you to those guys for joining the affiliate program. They're definitely already creating great content. Let me find their most recent videos here. Just give me a second. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, so this is a video BitBoy Crypto made with Token Metrics. So it already has 8,000 views. Let me see here, right? As you can see here, this is him going through Token Metrics, and he's already brought on a big crowd of customers or people in the trial. And I'm pretty sure him and Alex are going to make a lot of money this month on the affiliate program. For those who don't know, we've changed the affiliate program to give out 40% recurring commissions for 12 months. So meaning you can earn over $800 maximum, assuming you bring customers to the professional plan. But 40% recurring commission plus 10% for any sub affiliates you bring in up to one level. So thank you, BitBoy, for joining the affiliate family, the astronaut program, and also thank you, Alexander. He also had a video here as well where he went through during a review and deep dive on Token Metrics. So it's a pleasure having them on board. If they're watching this, by the way, thank you. So I encourage all our crypto family to go and subscribe to their channels and just show support and love. All right, back to the live stream here. All right, so this is actually from last week. So Bill's not here today, unfortunately, so it's just me. Most of you already know me, but I'm Ian Bellina, founder and CEO of Token Metrics. Also partner at 100x Advisors, which is a blockchain investment and advisory company. I worked at IBM in analytics for 4 years, worked as an IT consultant at Deloitte Consulting. All right, so thank you to everybody who sent us the emails. There is an issue going on with the forum where emails are not being delivered, so we have to look into it. So definitely give us some time. Thank you for the understanding. It might take us a few days to sort out the issue. So people have not been getting the email activations, because I was wondering, I was like, how come nobody's posting on the forum? But turns out there's an issue with the emails. So our team is working on it. But once that's solved, you'll be able to go to the forum and post any questions and interact. I did put a introductory post here, I thought. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, here we go. So once we've taken care of the email issue and it's working, we'll go through and try to resend the emails that were bounced. But once that's done, then we should be good to go. Just go here and post an intro on yourself, and let's start the discourse. All right? Okay. Then if you haven't yet already, join the newsletter, tokenmetrics.substack.com. We should be sending one out in the coming day or so, probably by Monday or Tuesday. All right. So I think that's pretty much it for all the Tokenmetrics updates. Let's now get into really the main event, right? So let me share my screen here. All right. So we all know the coronavirus has had a big impact on the global economy. So in the most recent premium newsletter we emailed out to our customers, this is kind of our entire analysis and process in terms of what we think is going on with the current economic climate. So this isn't really a crypto newsletter per se from the last few days, but this is more on our overall perspective on the economy and why we think it's pretty bearish. Okay, so this is an example of what you can expect when you subscribe to Token Metrics. So it's not just the platform and software, it's also our analysis and commentary. All right, so we kind of start the email off by saying, based on historic volatility, let me see if I can zoom in here, right? A 7% loss in the S&P 500 equates to losing 41% in BTC. So that's almost 6 times as much. So the volatility in the S&P 500, or basically the stock market, versus crypto is about 6x. That's pretty huge, all right? Now, so how is the entire economy being impacted? We know the US is now really at the forefront of the entire global pandemic for COVID-19. On April 1st, we had over 210,000 cases, and it's now way beyond that. And at the epicenter of that is New York. Now, how is this affecting the economy? Well, looking at the global GDP, right, the gross domestic product of different countries versus the growth in 2019 to the forecasted growth for 2020, there's a huge decline. Looking at China had a growth of about 6% in 2019. Now it's going to be slightly under 5%. And looking at the US had slightly over 2%. We can say maybe 2 and 1/3%. Now it's going to be under 2%. So every country pretty much is now at a standstill, at a halt, and the economy is really tanking. But let's take a look at that, right? Looking at the US jobless claims, more than 6 million people have filed for claims as the COVID-19 hits, right? This is really becoming worse than 2008 recession, right? Because the average jobless claims was about 350,000. And now it's jumped up all the way to 6.65 million. And now it's over 10 million total. So now now the perspective of reaching 15% or 20% unemployment seems real. It's not just something that people were talking about, but now we're basically on a collision course towards that path. So let me just kind of skip down here. Then lots of industries have been affected, right? Manufacturing has slowed down, especially in China. When it comes to manufacturing and supply chain, the Chinese industrial production has fell by 13.5% in the first 2 months of 2020. And we know China is really the big manufacturer of the world, because here in America, 70% of America isn't really a country that produces anymore, right? 70% of our economy is spending. right? America is a nation that consumes. So now that China has slowed down manufacturing, the consumption in America has to stop. So all this is really kind of a butterfly effect that affects the entire economy. Then declining oil prices, right? Oil prices, the highest they've been since the 21st century was really almost $150 back in 2008. Then it dropped all the way below $50. Then we went back to 125. Then it dropped in 2016 to almost $25. Then it went up to about $85 or so. And in 2020, it's dropped almost, back to $25 or so. So oil is really an industry we have to watch as well, because Russia and Saudi Arabia are now really going through a pricing war. And they're trying to really price out the US because the cost of production for oil in America is higher than in Russia and Saudi Arabia. So they've tried to race it down to the bottom to push out the US and really become the major players in that. Then the stock markets. Whether we're looking at the US stock market, England, Japanese, I mean, they've all tanked in 2020 because of coronavirus, right? So looking at the decline, the Dow Jones has dropped almost 24%. So people's wealth is being impacted by this globally, right? People who are planning to retire are being impacted by this. Then let's scroll down here. Now, there are some big companies that have really done well in this in this global reset we have, where everybody's locked down, quarantined at home. So Zoom's stock price surged 25%. Skype, owned by Microsoft now, surged 20%. Now, Zoom's price, I think recently might have declined because companies like Tesla and others have really banned Zoom due to security issues, right? So even though Zoom has been doing well, it's now really in the spotlight. I believe their traffic was up 6x. I think I saw an article earlier this week saying their traffic is down 6x. But companies that really can survive climates like this are really companies to keep an eye on, right? So Zoom, Skype, Clorox, right? Lysol, right? I would say maybe even Procter & Gamble. So, I mean, there are companies out there that are still performing well. But if we look at other companies like, I would say the airline industry, the travel industry, let me see if I can pull up an article here. We had an article from, let me just see if I can pull this out. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so most of the items we have are really coming from BBC in an article they had. Did he talk about Clorox? Okay, that's not really it. But I saw somewhere that travel industry stocks have been decimated. They're down almost 60%, some even 75%, which is pretty insane. I mean, if people are losing 75% of their wealth in a stock, I mean, that has a long-standing effect long term. That's not just something you can just get out of, right? That's something that's going to take a long time to recover. So let me see if I can find that exact article, because let's see, United Airlines, I think, is the stock that's been decimated. Let's see here. Right? Okay, how do I? Okay, so their stock price in the last 6 months went from a high of, actually, let's do the last 1 month, right? Went from $50 to $22. So more than half of the value has been gone. And it went from about $90 now. It dropped down all the way to $21. So then it bounced back up. Now it's going back down. So, I mean, this is United Airlines. Let's do Delta. Let's do Delta Airlines. Right, so Delta has also been affected drastically. So from about $43 to $22. And then Warren Buffett recently sold his shares in Delta and Southwest Airlines. And we all know Warren Buffett is the hodler of hodlers. So when he's selling, I mean, the market is really watching because he said earlier in the week that he planned to hold. Then he just abruptly sold. So there was definitely something that caused him to sell, right? He sold $314 million in Delta and $74 million in Southwest Airlines. And he didn't really give a reason for the sale. So if the value investor who typically holds for 10 years is selling, there's definitely something to really keep an eye on, right? And then, okay, so back to the letter, right? Then we also have lower bond yields. So all these things are happening at the same time. And we have here in bold, Bitcoin is not a hedge against every global meltdown. As we've mentioned before, Bitcoin is really, in our opinion, a hedge only for political risk and currency risk. It's not a hedge against everything. So until those two things happen, until we start having hyperinflation and we start having governments trying to tax more people and confiscate people's money, we don't really think Bitcoin is going to become uncorrelated with the market. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, right? And this quote I mentioned earlier about the S&P 500, basically having almost a 6x correlation or impact with BTC, comes from the CEO of Bitwise. He posted that in a tweet early in the week. So the question now leads to us asking, how will crypto fare in a recession? So we're basically going into details on this by saying 70% of the US economic output is directly spent on consumer spending, and that's going to be affected, right? So the currencies we explore are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. And we say that Bitcoin will likely be independent of the broad market pressures because people can view it as a store of value, right? Bitcoin really has that use case. But on the other hand, when it comes to Ethereum, we think Ethereum is far more likely to correlate with the market or to be impacted by the market overall because you have companies building on top of Ethereum. These are blockchain companies that have to hire employees, developers, marketers. I mean, so pretty much all the ICOs that back in 2017, 2018, I mean, those are the companies that are building on Ethereum, even the now DeFi companies. So these companies have to meet payroll because nobody's buying tokens really right now. So how do they meet payroll? So we think because of that, they'll be more greatly impacted than Bitcoin itself. Then we go on to talk about Ripple, XRP. Somebody asked about XRP early in the show. XRP is really different from Bitcoin and Ethereum. XRP is really used as a medium of exchange between different banks, even though the token doesn't really have much value, right? Versus the company itself, we think because of that, it won't really be directly correlated with what's happening in the market, right? But XRP's price is also highly dependent on the issuance and adoption of it. So, I mean, all in all, that's kind of our summary on what's going on with the economy. I mean, so in conclusion, there's a temporary freeze on the entire global economy and market. Manufacturing has slowed down, oil is down, stock markets are down. Lots of sectors have been hit from travel, retail, manufacturing, but there are still some stocks that are doing pretty well, right? Like Zoom and Skype and others. And cryptocurrency can be a safe haven, but it depends on the cryptocurrency you're holding, and it depends on really its utility, on how it's being used. So overall, in all, I mean, that's our take on the global economy. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Okay, let me check out the comments and see what people have to say here. I know I've been kind of rambling for a bit. Even Warren Buffett is selling airlines. Yes, he is. Delta and Southwest. Tezos can ride out the storm, says Gabe. Okay. The code. The Minty code is 571332, 571332, 571332. Go to menti.com, menti.com. Okay. Now I think we might just have to hop straight into the AMA. Let me see. So let me just see what questions we have here before we hop straight into it. Okay. All right, so we'll keep questions open for the next. Yeah, I think let's do maybe the next 15 minutes or so. So gives people time to go through and submit the questions. Okay? All right, so this person is asking about XRP. What are thoughts on XRP? Okay, good question. So let's go to tokenmetrics.com and put in and search for XRP. Now, please bear with us. There have been some issues, I think, just based on the recent influx of new people coming in, trying to keep that up with the servers. All right, so short term, Tokenmetrics isn't really bullish on XRP. We haven't really been bullish on XRP for the most part. So fundamental wise, 34%, technology, 57%, technical analysis, 65%. So we're not really bullish on it short term. Now, if we go to technical analysis, right now it's at neutral. This is short term meaning less than 30 days. So not really much is bullish. It's still above the 200-day and 9-day EMA. But when it comes to everything else, it's not so bullish. In the last month or so, it had a high of about 25 cents, 24.45. Went all the way down to 11 cents. And now it's been going up. But with that being said, though, we're not really so bullish on XRP at the moment. Okay, on to the next question. All right. Are you still in Bitcoin or have you abandoned? Good question. Good question. I would say right now I'm not really in Bitcoin. I mean, I do have a small amount of Bitcoin, but nothing really major. So I mean, with me right now, I'm not really speculating as much because I'm running a business. Okay, because so one of the downsides of being full-time in crypto is you have to sell your crypto to fund your expenses, right? So not just my personal expenses, but really just my business, right? So our team, payroll, all that stuff. So because of that, things have been pretty hectic, and also just really trying to plan long-term with the upcoming recession, right? Because thinking about this, okay, how do we keep the lights on if the entire world is going through this apocalypse? Actually, recently, last night, I did apply for the Paycheck Protection Program. If you're in America and you have a business, small business, or you're an entrepreneur, I highly recommend you do it. That's basically the CARES Act, and the government and Trump are giving out loans, really grants. The term is forgivable loan, meaning it's a loan that if you use it towards your payroll, then you don't really have to pay it back. But if you don't use it towards payroll, then you have to pay it back. But the interest rate is very, very low. It's less than 1%. So, I mean, those are the things I'm dealing with, right? I would say when you're running a business, you don't really have disposable money to speculate on. Okay? So now, with that being said, right, I do have investments in crypto, but I don't really have money to speculate because in a way I'm speculating on my business, right? I'm kind of investing in myself and Tokenmetrics, the company, to grow that. So definitely, this is probably a case where don't do as I do, right? Because I have different objectives and needs, right? Because my goal is really to build Tokenmetrics up and to keep it around during this recession. So if you don't see me speculating on Bitcoin as a trader or in different altcoins, it's because I'm reinvesting back into Tokenmetrics, right? If I didn't have Tokenmetrics, I would have lots of disposable income to speculate with on altcoins and on things like that. Okay, so but I mean, all in all, just to also answer somebody else's question that somebody had a while back, or I think in terms of my portfolio, everything is publicly available. If you go to the Tokenmetrics disclosures page, So that's tokenmetrics.com/disclosures. We have our team holdings, and pretty much all the holdings of the team are here. We typically update it I would say every quarter or so, right? But for the most part, most of my early investments I still have. Most of them are either illiquid or I'm just not selling them because for those, I don't really think it's a good time to sell at the moment. But as mentioned before, the cryptocurrency I'm pretty much all in on at the moment is Helium at HNT. So I've been mining that, and that's really kind of been my investment at this point in time. All right. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Let me just go through here. Let's see. Okay, this question we answer almost every single show. What's your take on the price of Bitcoin before and after the halving? So, I mean, my take is pretty much consistent. First of all, we don't really know. I would say short term it's priced in, long term it's not. Short term it's priced in because, I mean, first of all, the entire economy is down, but right, and I think everybody's talking about it, so it's likely not going to happen, right? I don't think, even historically speaking, that hasn't really been like a short term pump. There's always been like almost a decline, but I think long term the economics speak for themselves, right? Lower supply, more demand, and I think with what's happening right now in the economy and inflation and hyperinflation possibly coming with quantitative easing and the dollar being devalued, I think all of this really points towards one path of Bitcoin doing well. And I think we're all here, right? If Bitcoin does not do well in this kind of situation, then everything we believe in will have to be questioned. All right. You spoke about a coin you think will be a top 3 project a couple of weeks back. Any more info on that? Top 3 project? Okay, I'm guessing you're probably talking about Blockstack, I think. So, I mean, our team is very, very bullish on Blockstack from doing fundamental analysis and code reviews. Let me see if I can pull it up here. So definitely recommend you join tokenmetrics.com as a subscriber, especially in times like this. All right, so if we go here and look at Blockstack. So this is the rating for Blockstack. Right now it's an overall score of 72%. Technology, Presh, our developer, he's gone through and done a deep code review on Blockstack. Just go to the technologies page to view the entire code review. But tech-wise, this is one of the best projects out there. Fundamentals are also pretty good, pretty decent. All in all, comparing this versus all the other projects out there, we think this is highly undervalued. Why is that? First of all, the market cap is under 30 million. And this is a project that already has traction. It's backed by USV. Let me find all the investors here. If we go down here, it's backed by USV and Fred Wilson, Y Combinator. All these big names are really backing it. It's also the first Reg A+ qualified security token sale in America, which is a high barrier. Obviously, it's in no way, shape, or form an endorsement by the SEC. However, it is a high barrier of entry, and not just any Joe Schmo can go through and do that, right? And looking here at Token Metrics, right, we can see they have over 420 dApps built on their platform. And they do claim to have more than 1.9 million user accounts, although we do think that is kind of not real, because maybe the way they're counting user accounts isn't really the right way. Because if we go here, this is their block explorer. So they have 1.9 million usernames. So I think this is more like wallet addresses, for example, right? So definitely a project to keep an eye on, in our opinion. Looking at it from a technical analysis perspective, let me go to TA. If we go to the TA here, so TA is neutral at the moment. In the last month, the highest price was 13 cents. It's gone as low as 4 cents, 4.5 cents, and now it's at about 9 cents in the last month or so. So it's actually been going up in the last month. But I mean, in terms of risk to reward, because this is a blockchain and it's really doing what Ethereum is doing. So if we go to the market cap of Ethereum, let me just pull this up here. Right, so Ethereum's market cap is 15 billion. So let's just put this in perspective. So they have a market cap of less than 30 million. Let's say 30 million. This project could possibly, not factoring in inflation and just more cryptocurrencies or stack tokens being put into the supply, but this could really reach a 3 billion market cap in our opinion, assuming there's no dilution, right? Which is obviously not real, but just to make things simple, assuming no dilution, this could 100x by going to a $3 billion market cap, which would give it a market cap in alignment with between Litecoin and Bitcoin SV. And in our opinion, we think, I mean, this project, so in terms of competing projects, you have to look at Ethereum, look at EOS, look at Neo, Cardano, but from us looking at this project, we think it's better than most of those projects, right? So from a technology perspective, it's a top 3 project, top 3 tech-wise, code-wise, looking at just the code review, meaning that it's behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's how bullish our developer is on Blockstack. So going back to your question in terms of what project do we think is a top 3 project, looking purely at just the technology, we would say Blockstack. Now, if we factor in the fundamentals, fundamental-wise, there are other projects right now that do have better fundamentals. And to kind of really clarify, fundamentals looks at the team, the liquidity, the marketing, the reputation, while technology is just purely looking at the code. So just purely looking at the code, it's top 3 project. Looking at fundamentals, we would say it's top 20 in terms of fundamentals. So then if you just kind of average the two, then kind of also add in maybe the momentum and technical analysis to help you figure out when's a good entry point. But if you're thinking purely long term, we think it's definitely a good project long term. So long term wise, it's a top 5 project in our opinion. But obviously that's just our opinion. That's based on our research on Tokenmetrics. Go check out the entire report on Blockstack on the platform to basically come to your own conclusions. But in our opinion, it's definitely a project worth putting on your watch list. Okay. All right, let me check the comments here and see how we're doing. Okay, what do you think about the status lawsuit? Yeah, so I did hear about the lawsuit. For those who don't know, let me take a look here. Okay, let's see. Just give me 1 second. It's a local lawsuit. Crypto. Sorry, just trying to find the page here so I can present it as we're discussing here. All right, so this is from CoinMarketCap. So 7 crypto firms targeted by 11 lawsuits in New York. Right? So the companies that were part of that include, actually, hold on, is this the right one? Yeah, so we have Binance, KuCoin, Buybox, or Bbox, BitMEX, HDR Global Trading, Block One, which is really EOS, KDEX, Civic, B Protocol, and Status, and Tron. So, and they directly mentioned principals or the founders in it, in the lawsuit. So CZ, Dan Larimer of EOS, Vinny Lingham of Civic, Brendan Bloomer of EOS, Block One. So, I mean, I find this very, very interesting. It seems they're really just trying to I mean, some people could say it's a troll. They're trolls. They're patent trolls or legal trolls trying to just sue and create havoc. But I mean, from the different reports I've been reading, it's nothing not trivial. It's definitely something serious, especially considering that the SEC already charged EOS for creating a security token, basically, or having a securities offering that wasn't officially registered with the SEC. Now, EOS did pay the fine without really admitting any fault. But I mean, based on how things are going with the SEC and especially here in the US, pretty much all these cryptocurrencies are security tokens, is the point of view the SEC is taking. And now, the onus is on the defendants to prove that they didn't create security tokens. And I mean, honestly, it's tough to really say what's going to happen, but it's definitely something serious and definitely worth keeping an eye on, because this is the kind of lawsuit that could really affect the entire market, because we have Binance, we have KuCoin, and BitMEX. These are three well-known exchanges in the space. And we also have some EOS, right? A top 10 project in market cap, I believe. So, and then we also have the founders, right? CZ is being named in this. Now, obviously, Binance has money for days to defend all these lawsuits, but I mean, it's definitely going through a legal proceeding is not in anybody's dream. Okay, even if you win, just the hassle of having to go through all that. Now, the fact that there are international companies makes this even more interesting, because I mean, they're really waging a war, a global war against all these companies, right? Some are based in different regions. Singapore, I think that's where Binance and KuCoin are. BitMEX is in, I think, Seychelles, I believe. So if they're able to have any success on this, it's going to be huge for the crypto space. I mean, their ramifications will change everything. Crypto will never be the same if they're successful. Now, this might take years. This might take 2, 3, 4 years. Who knows? But it's definitely something worth keeping an eye on. But I wouldn't start sweating over it in the short term, right? I would say it's more of a long-term thing to watch. All right, let me go back here to the questions. Do you think XRP could hit $10 on the next bull run? The next bull run is when? End of the year, or 2021 or 2022? Vatican, I mean, no one really knows. Can XRP hit? Because XRP did hit $3 in the last bull run for altcoins back in 2017, and end of 2017 and for January 2018. Now, whether or not it's going to go to $10, I mean, no one really knows, right? Anything is possible, but me, myself, I would not really have money in XRP. All right, let's take one more question, then we go back to the AMA. Your code reviewers are rubbish. They were saying ADA code is rubbish. As a coder, you have to respect all code, especially if it's code that's not already available on the market. Well, hello, I would say your analysis is rubbish, because we didn't say our code review on ADA is rubbish, right? This is the part where trolls, right? So hello here is saying that our code review on ADA, Cardano, is rubbish. But I would say he hasn't really done his research, right? This is what happens when you listen to people on Twitter and you just take things totally out of context, right? First of all, our developers love Cardano from a tech standpoint, right? If I pull up the technology review of Cardano, right, it has scored an 89%, right? So before you go out there and start believing the trolls on Twitter, right, the tech review on Cardano is at 89%. And this puts Cardano in the top 5 projects out there right now, purely from a code perspective, right? If we go here, right, let me just go through the code. So Cardano is number 6 based on code review, right? Now, the disconnect, which is probably where this person kind of got brainwashed, is we said that Ethereum had better code, in our opinion, or better technology than Cardano, right? Now, our tech review does not look at purely just the code. We also look at the developer community. We look at current adoption. So there are almost 20 factors we look at when we're looking at the overall technology. So when we say that Ethereum, in our opinion, has better technology, I mean, we have different data points to back that up. So just because Cardano doesn't have better technology, in our opinion, than Ethereum, does not mean that we think it's rubbish, right? Because we think it's top 6 code-wise out there. And if you factor in that there are over 2,000 cryptocurrencies out there, that's pretty impressive. So please don't go out there and just blindly believe what you read on Twitter without doing the research, right? Join tokenmetrics.com if you don't already. We have a 14-day free trial. Go in there, view the entire tech review on ADA, on Cardano, and then let's get back and have an actual discussion on Cardano. All right, so back to the AMA. Let me go through here. Okay, so voting is now closed. All right. Okay, does a reduction in Bitcoin dominance mean a reduction in price and vice versa? Okay, good question. Very, very good question. No, right? So just to kind of go through this from, let me try to explain this in simple terms. So the price of Bitcoin can stay the same, and the market cap can stay the same, because BTC dominance is really taking the market cap of Bitcoin versus the market cap of all of crypto. So if the Bitcoin dominance, let's say, is 60%, right? Just to keep things simple, right? Let's say the market cap of Bitcoin is 60 billion, and the market cap of all of crypto is 100 billion, right? That's 60%. Obviously, those aren't real numbers, but just to make things simple with explaining them. Now, the market cap of Bitcoin can stay the same, but altcoins can increase in market cap. So for instance, let's say Bitcoin is going sideways. It's not really going up or down, but we're going through alt season. And let's say some alts just blow up. And let's say new altcoins are coming in, right? Whether through IEOs, ICOs, what have you. And let's say Ethereum blows up. Let's say Ripple blows up, Monero blows up. And then the market cap for all of crypto goes from 100 billion to 120 billion, while Bitcoin's market cap stays at 60 billion. So the dominance for BTC now goes down from 60% to 50%. So the price could have stayed the same, but alt season could have happened and the BTC dominance goes down. So to answer your question, right, does a reduction in BTC dominance mean a reduction in price and vice versa? No, the two are not really correlated. All right. After the next bull run, what do you think will be the best point of action in terms of cashing out your gains? So real estate, savings, etc. Good question, good question. So I think the strategy for a bull run is really to follow a value investor strategy. So as we mentioned in the last live stream, a good value investor, a textbook value investor, buys from pessimists and sells to optimists. This is mentioned in the book, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. It's a classic book. I'm going through the book right now, but it's basically you buy low, you sell high. And now that sounds easy. It's easy to say, but it's hard to do, because that means you really are buying when there's blood in the streets. You're buying in a bear market when everybody's hopping off the ship. You're the last person on the ship, the last person on the boat buying, right? So it means you have to be contrarian by nature. You have to do the opposite of what people are doing. What does that look like? that means you have to do the opposite of what everybody on Twitter is doing. If you're doing what everybody in crypto Twitter is doing, you're not going against the grain. I mean, you're going with the herd. So you have to be somebody who goes against the herd. So you buy when there's blood in the streets. You buy when all of CoinMarketCap and all the exchanges are just red. It's bloodshed. And then that means you take profits, right? So you buy the dip when people are selling, when people are forced to sell based on liquidations, when people are wrecked, you're buying from wrecked people and you're selling to moon boys, right? So selling to moon boys means you're selling when it's green, when it's to the moon and beyond, when it's kumbaya, when people think that, oh man, Ripple is going to $10, right? So that's when you sell. Now, you don't sell everything, you sell gradually. So you have to have a take profit system. So this is different from everybody. There's no ideal way of doing this, but I would say at minimum, you take out your initial investment, right? At minimum. So that way you guarantee no L's. So what does that mean? That means, okay, let's use Ripple as an example. If you buy Ripple now at 17 cents, right? And you say, okay, I'll hold Ripple for more than 1 year to have reduced capital gains, right? To have long-term capital gains. So after 1 year, let's say we're in a bull market, Ripple's is at $1.70. What do? Right? For me personally, right, I would take out my initial at minimum, then probably take out some more. If it's up 10x, I would probably take out like 3x of that, right? So let's say I put in $1,000 into Ripple. From 17 cents it goes to $1.70. I basically turned 1 grand to 10 grand. I would take off 3 grand, right? So that's 3x return already. Put that into my savings, right? Probably put that into DAI's stablecoin lending, part of it in the bank. Maybe put some into whatever. Then the rest is house money. And that house money, how do you handle it? As it's going up, you sell some more, right? I would never sell everything, but let's say every 3x, you sell you sell 1/3, right? So that could be a strategy, right? So meaning if it goes from 170 to then what's 3x of that? Let's say, hold on, just give me 1 second here. 170 times 3 is 510. Then you sell 1/3 of that. Then from 510, it goes up 3x again. It goes to $15, $15.30. You sell 1/3 of that. So that could be one strategy. Or you could have maybe you sell a quarter every 2x. So I would say at minimum, secure your initial investment and then have a strategy to sell a fraction of the future gains as they go up at a particular interval. It could be just maybe every 1x you sell half, for example, right? But whatever you do, stick to that system and make sure it's a system that works for you because everybody's different, right? You could also just have a system where you take profits based on the need. So maybe you're going to, I don't know, pay off some bills. But I would say if you have bills to pay, you should probably not be speculating it right? with altcoins. But I would say maybe you want to go on a vacation. That's probably a better example. So maybe your vacation is going to cost you, I don't know, 4 grand. So you sell 4 grand worth of Ripple to fund your vacation. So find different ways to make it work, whether it's with something tangible or whether it's on a particular system. But whatever you do, stick to it. But just make sure at minimum, you always recoup your initial investment. Now, when it comes to investing in other things, right? Let's say you put in more than 1 grand. Let's say you put in 10 grand into Ripple and did a 10x, right? So you have 100 grand, and let's say you want to cash everything out. What do you do? I mean, I would say definitely diversify outside of crypto. So I've been looking a lot into gold, for example. I've not bought gold yet, but it's something I'm just kind of educating myself more on. And from a crypto perspective, our team is going to be looking into Paxos Gold. It's on the list of projects we want to add to Tokenmetrics. So Paxos Gold is a New York regulated gold-backed cryptocurrency, meaning that it's a way, as opposed to buying physical gold, you just buy the cryptocurrency and you can exchange that for actual gold. So I think that's pretty cool. So that has definitely caught my attention. Paxos is a pretty reputable company in the crypto space, and the fact that it's regulated is good. So that has my attention. So let's say you put some into precious metals, put some maybe back into the stock market, maybe through an index fund, or maybe you're investing on your own through a mutual fund. But real estate as well is also a good way to diversify. But I would say definitely diversify across different asset classes, because you never know what could happen, right? I definitely can't advise you on how to do all of that, but definitely through the research, look into it. Have lots of ways to do it, right? So for me personally, things I've been looking at, I've mentioned before, stablecoin lending through DICE, through Celsius, where you could possibly earn 7% on your cryptocurrency, right? So if you put, let's say I have 100 grand, I could take 10 grand, put that into my bank account, right? Maybe just a regular savings account that's FDIC insured. Then maybe take 10 grand again, put that into DAI on Celsius. That's insured as well, and that gives me 7% annually. Then maybe I get 10 more grand and put that into DAI on DeFi on Newell, right? So spreading the risk across different platforms. And then other platforms I've looked more into. Now these platforms are not really for everybody. These platforms are more for professional investors, right? So maybe if you're a qualified investor, basically rich, you could start investing on platforms like AngelList, right? AngelList lets you get early stage equity in different companies, but that's a lot more risky, and it's definitely not for everybody. So I cannot recommend that to everybody because it's different. If you want to maybe just diversify in the stock market without having to think much about it, there are platforms that apply to everybody. Platforms like Wealthfront, Betterment, they're basically robo-advisors. They keep things very simple. We're kind of working towards building something like that for Tokenmetrics, but that's way down the line in the future. But I think it's definitely something that can be used to invest in the stock market. There are platforms out there that let you also invest in real estate through platforms. I haven't used any, but I do know some friends that do use them, where you basically kind of pull your funds together and you invest and buy commercial real estate, and then you basically get a monthly rental income coming in. I'm not sure if you get the income coming in if the property is sold, but one platform I did join a while back, but I still haven't used it, but it has been on my radar. It's called Yield Street. Now this is for professional investors, right? For qualified investors, you have to have, I think, net worth of $1 million or more. But this one is definitely worth looking into if you fit that income level bracket. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's basically that. So they have lots of what they call alternative investments that allow you to go through and invest. So let me see what kind of, you can invest in real estate on the platform. You can invest in marine and art and lots of different asset classes. This is more for well, I wouldn't say institutional investors, but I would say high net worth investors. So if you fit that bracket, definitely check out a platform like this. I don't have any affiliation with them. I just have an account, and I've seen the kinds of offerings they have on here, and I think it's pretty cool. They recently did a deal with some big banks. I think Blackstone was one. I think some other as well. So if we go through here and see how it works. So they have an app, right? And the app, you add funding and they'll have deals. It's kind of like IEOs or ICOs but for actual assets, right? Actual securities sometimes. So they'll have private investments. So it's kind of like private equity. So they'll say, we have this commercial real estate deal and we want to buy this building for, let's say, $10 million. And all we have to do is just put up the first $2.5 million. So you have all these high net worth individuals that pull the funds together. They have some of the company will manage the property the day to day, and all you do is just collect a check. So this is almost kind of like fixed income, but it's not quite fixed income. But platforms like that, I think, are definitely safer places to park your money after you've made some money in crypto, especially if you've made a killing in crypto. So that's kind of what I plan to do once the next bull market comes around. All right. So, because I think that's something all of us could definitely have done better, because most of us, for the most part, were brand new to crypto. So once we got our gains, we thought the green days would not stop. We thought that we'll keep on going to the moon and beyond. But we also have to learn to plan for a pullback back to earth. And I think being able to find platforms like that. So obviously the platforms I mentioned are mainly for high net worth individuals, but there are other platforms out there for the average retail investor and trader. If they're not, then I would say just diversify in platforms like Wealthfront, Betterment, having some money in the market, not everything, but having some money in the market, some money in precious metals, some money in real estate. Maybe it means just buying your own duplex or triplex, right? Or just buying your own house and renting that out for rental income. Because one thing I kind of learned now is, I mean, cash is king. And once you've made money, you want to have assets that pay you to own. And that's something that we've kind of lost in crypto, because we were so used to the drastic gains. But you want to have assets that pay you to own, meaning fixed income assets. So assets like a house, so owning a house and renting that out and having rental income, or having that person pay off the mortgage. So that's why real estate is always good. Now, obviously, we're probably going to go into a recession, so prices will likely go down, making them cheaper to own, which is actually probably a good time if you're looking to get into real estate to start getting into that. Then maybe even just bonds, right? Bonds, for me, I don't do bonds, but to me, stablecoin lending on Celsius and DeFi platforms in a way is kind of like bonds. So there are lots of different ways to really preserve your wealth. So going back to your question, let me pull up the question here, because I have been talking for a while. Go back to your question, right? So after the next bull run, that's really a strategy I would implore to use. Let me know what you guys think. If you have different strategies, please share in the comments below. Okay, let me see how we're doing here. Okay, so Mark says masternodes. Yeah, Dash masternodes. Masternodes and staking for other cryptocurrencies performing well. That's definitely a good strategy. Do you think there will be a bear market anytime soon? Yeah, I mean, pretty much we're going into a global recession, for sure. Okay. Hello, Antonio. Great to have you here. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the AMA. How are you in general? How's family and your general health? Good. I mean, life is good. Can't complain. I've been quarantined here at home. You know, thank God, no one is sick. We're all good. Just staying safe. But I mean, crypto life is, people in crypto are always quarantined. so it's not really anything new. So it's just working at home now when the whole world is working at home. So there isn't really much change. Okay, we already talked about Cardano, so let's move on to that. Okay. Hi Ian, hope you're well. Have you set up any kind of performance tracker for the site to track how well it's doing, especially towards the short-term rankings for smaller time frame traders? Good question. So not yet, but we are working on creating indices for tokenomics. So I have our data science team looking into that. And the idea is to break out all the different grades by indices so everybody can track and follow how well the index is doing. So for example, we'll have an index for short-term overall grade. Then we'll have one for short-term fundamental grade, short-term technical analysis grade, short-term technology grade, and being able to track the index and how well the index goes up and down. So I think that's really the next level of tokemetrics. So we do have our data scientist working on that. So stay tuned. Can't really give a time frame in terms of when we think it will be ready, but we think it's definitely something that is much needed. Much needed. Actually, speaking of that, let me ping my developer and see if he can give me an update on that. All right. So next question. Okay, hold on, just give me 1 second. Yeah. Okay, more questions. This isn't really a question. It's somebody just talking about Nash news. I'm in the UK. Where can I buy oil stocks? Okay. I mean, obviously, if you're in the UK, I'm not based in the UK, so I can't really give much advice. But not sure you'd want to buy oil stocks. I mean, I think it probably makes better sense, in my opinion. I mean, for me personally, I don't own any oil, but if I did plan to, I would probably either just buy an index for the entire oil industry. That seems like the most efficient way of doing it, especially if I didn't have the time to do that detailed research in the oil industry. I'll probably just buy an index that gives me exposure to the oil industry. So if you're trying to buy the dip, I think for me, in my opinion, that's what I would personally do. Obviously, I can't tell you personally what to do. But let's say I'm a professional investor. First of all, if I was a professional oil investor, I probably would not be asking this question, right? But let's just say I was. All right. I would probably do research on a bunch of different oil companies, look at their balance sheets, look at their economics, and see, okay, which ones do I think are positioned to survive in the next 10 years, despite this recession or even potential depression we're going into. So I think that's probably what professional investors are doing, right? They're doing the thorough, detailed, fundamental analysis, looking at really the balance sheet, the cash flow of these oil companies, and seeing which ones have the least amount of debt, right? So what's their debt ratio? And those that aren't over leveraged and they think can survive the downturn are probably the ones they would really invest in, right? But I mean, for the average retail investor who's not a full-time investor, I would say just invest in an index, right? Oil index. I'm pretty sure even in the UK, no matter what brokerage you use, whether it's, I'm not sure who's available in the US, in the UK, but here in America, we have TD Ameritrade, we have Charles Schwab, whatever brokerage you use, just go there and type in oil, or use platforms like Morningstar. Morningstar is kind of like the token metrics for equities. They go through and they do reviews on different stocks, mutual funds, indexes, ETFs, right? So I would say, yeah, find an ETF or maybe a mutual fund, but I would say probably an ETF for the oil space. So just go on Morningstar and type in oil and see what's available, and go through their entire report and analysis, and maybe that'll be a good place to start. All right, next question. Good question. What crypto are you most exposed to? Long-term and short-term. So what crypto do I have the most exposure to? I would say Ethereum, because as you guys know me, I dabble in lots of altcoins. So most of the altcoins I have, the trading pairs are Ethereum. So indirectly, I have exposure to Ethereum, and then I also own Ethereum as well, Ether. So yeah, short-term and long-term, that's the most. Long-term, just kind of being Tokemetrics is an altcoin platform, and Ethereum is really the platform for altcoins. So obviously, it's not Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin is just by itself. So Ethereum and the altcoins being built on Ethereum, and DeFi with decentralized finance. So long-term and short-term, I'm basically all in on Ethereum, and that's why I've mentioned this a lot on the show. I know just on other interviews that in the next 10 years, so by the year 2030, in my opinion, Ethereum and Ether will surpass Bitcoin in market cap. Now, all the Bitcoin maximalists call me a pagan, you know, whatever moral judgment they have towards me. But I mean, the data is the data. I mean, if you come in this without having any biased opinion, if you come in this with a blank slate and say, okay, these are two different projects. I mean, Ethereum has a growing developer ecosystem that's growing and growing and growing, and in my opinion, could eventually surpass the ecosystem of Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin the community is bigger than Ethereum right now, but I think in 10 years, Ethereum can have a bigger community because there's so many things they're doing. Then if you also look at DeFi, I know it was up and trending and it kind of seems like it's overhyped, it's a bubble, but it's still early. There's lots of bugs and issues from flash loans to glitches happening. But just think about this. If we take the derivatives market, which is about a $500 billion market, and if we tokenize that, what platform are we going to use? In my opinion, Ethereum, not Bitcoin. And that's kind of already happening. That's what's happening with DeFi, with platforms like Compound, Synthetics, DYDX, Uniswap. I mean, the entire derivatives market, in my opinion, is being built on Ethereum with DeFi, and the Ethereum developer community is growing. I mean, this to me is a no-brainer. I mean, Ethereum in 10 years, unbelievable. I mean, obviously go to our platform and view our entire review on Ethereum. But I mean, we're very, very bullish on Ethereum long term. Now, that does not mean we're not bullish on Bitcoin. This is the part where the tribalism in crypto becomes very, very toxic, because people think that when you think some other project is going to do better than the other project, that you automatically mean that this other project is trash. No, I mean, Bitcoin, in our opinion, is still a good project. Right now, Bitcoin has better ratings than Ethereum on the platform, but projecting out 10 years, we think Ethereum has a probable chance of surpassing Bitcoin. Now, that does not mean it's 100%, but it also does not mean it's 0%. Right? In our opinion, that just means that we think the chance is probably higher than 50%, meaning that more than 50 out of 10 times Ethereum wins. So with that being said, Bitcoin is still a great project, still great technology, still a top 5 project, top 2 project, in fact. Now, in 10 years, things can change. And we're saying that as value investors who go against the grain, who do opposite of what other people are doing, we think Ethereum is primed to perform very, very well. Okay. Next question. Did you do any more research on Event 201? And actually, no, I did not. No, I did not. But I think that was a conspiracy somebody had shared, right? Let me just Google this real quick. Event 201, a pandemic exercise to illustrate preparedness. Okay, hold on. So let me just make sure I have this right. Okay, so you want me to research Event 201 or Lockstep? Okay, so we have Googled Event 201. This takes us to a page that's from Johns Hopkins. So Event 201. The Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, in partnership with the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, hosted Event 201, a high-level pandemic exercise on October 18th, 2019 in New York, New York. The exercise illustrated areas where public-private partnerships will be necessary during the response to a severe pandemic in order to diminish large-scale economic and societal consequences. Okay, very interesting, very interesting. All right, so let's see if we can skip through all this. So they were planning for exactly this. Okay, so they do have a statement here from Johns Hopkins on, okay, so let's see here. Okay, so it says, has received questions about whether that pandemic exercise predicted the current novel coronavirus outbreak in China To be clear, the Center for Health Security and partners did not make a prediction during our tabletop exercise. For the scenario, we modeled a fictional coronavirus pandemic, but we explicitly stated that it was not a prediction. Instead, the exercise served to highlight preparedness and response challenges that would likely arise in a very severe pandemic. We are not now predicting that the nCoV 2019 outbreak will kill 65 million people, although our tabletop exercise included a mock novel coronavirus. The inputs we used for modeling the potential impact for that fictional virus are not similar to nCoV 2019. Okay, so very interesting. Let me search this lockstep thing and see what this is about. Okay, I'm not really seeing. This is just giving me definition. Okay, maybe coronavirus is what you'd want me to look into. Okay, we're getting something on Reddit here. I'm not sure Reddit is the best source, but let's see what they say here. The lockstep simulation, a coronavirus-like pandemic that becomes a trigger for police state controls. Okay, so it seems we're going down the conspiracy rabbit hole here. Okay, let's see what they say here. Okay, by now, those following the novel coronavirus epidemic are familiar with Event 201, the pandemic simulation staged by Johns Hopkins University in conjunction with blah, blah, blah. Okay, and they're going to say that the media establishment has already picked the story clean, set up and eviscerated a straw man. No, Bill Gates didn't cause the coronavirus epidemic. Silly conspiracy theorists. And convinced the group itself to issue a statement denying their exercise was meant to predict the behavior of the actual virus to follow. Okay, then they're going to say, but few are aware that the epidemic playing out in China and 24 other countries, including the US, is unfolding in line with a decade-old simulation titled Lockstep, devised by the Rockefeller Foundation in conjunction with the Global Business Network. The scenario, one of 4 included in a publication called Scenarios for the Future of Technology and International Development. Okay, I mean, so this basically seems like conspiracy theory that the top 1% predict are trying to bring about a police state. Okay, I mean, so without delving too much deep into this, I mean, my take on this is all speculation. I mean, nobody really knows. So, I mean, I'm a skeptic by nature. Well, actually, I would say by choice, just based because I'm a analytics person. I'm a data and numbers person, right? So, looking at this from a logical perspective, or just looking at this from a probability perspective, right? Humans have confirmation bias. They have selective memory bias, where they only remember things they want to remember or things that stand out, right? So for example, if somebody flips a coin and gets it right 3 times, they think they're lucky, or they think they have skill, and they forget the other 50 times they flipped it and they were completely wrong. Okay, so that's kind of the synopsis on that. But I would say anything is possible, right? Does that mean that there are Illuminati out there trying to blow up the world, to change the world? I mean, from a probability perspective, anything is possible, right? Looking at the general population, I believe 1%, maybe even more. I think it's like 4% of the population are sociopaths. Let me see if I can find that percentage of sociopaths. Okay, so yeah, so I think it's about 1% of the population are sociopaths or psychopaths. So I mean, in any given 3% in males and 1% in females. Okay, so this is from Psychology Today. But let's say it's 1 to 4% of people are psychopaths, sociopaths, meaning that in every population of 100 people, you will have at minimum one person who is willing to lie, manipulate, and possibly even kill, right? So if you take those odds, I mean, anything is possible, right? So I won't be the one to say that, hey, this cannot happen, right? Because I know, looking at those numbers, anything is possible, right? Now, whether that means we have like a new world order or police state, I mean, I personally don't really buy it. I mean, because I was kind of heavy into conspiracy theories back in my teenage days, like when I was super young. But I mean, after a while, I just kind of grew up and realized they're always predicting end of the world, but it never happens, right? Because actually, I do have a friend who's really heavy into that stuff now, and I've been trying to just debunk everything for him. And even when I bring proof debunking everything, he still believes. So some people just want to believe because it's how their psyche is wired, right? But in my opinion, right, as mentioned before, I mean, there are bad people in the world, and there are bad people who are trying to do bad things, because that's why we have wars. We had World War I, World War II, and it's probable that there'll be a World War III, unfortunately, right? Because humans always fight. The only thing that's really been holding that back recently has just been because countries now have nuclear power, and they've, for the time being, been smart enough to know that if we go towards a nuclear war, we could just destroy the entire Earth. So that's why Russia and America didn't really have war. They had a Cold War. They had an informational war, which, in my opinion, obviously no war is good, but it's better than physical war where people die. And now really, it seems like America and China have this big rivalry going. And it seems right now it's really more of a war of information and espionage as opposed to a physical war. And I don't really think any country at this point, whether China, America, Russia, whatever, would want to engage in a physical war, because they know that they would just, it's a game that both parties would lose, right? Nobody would really come out on top. Now, that's my take. That's really why I stopped with the conspiracy theories. I mean, I don't quite frankly believe in anything until I have proof. I mean, a wise man once said that anything that is presented without evidence can be dismissed without evidence as well. So unless there's a smoking gun, most of these conspiracy theories can be dismissed without any evidence, right? And then also at the same time, because the theories people show me, I mean, I've gone through and read them, and literally everything this person said was wrong. Every prediction was wrong. But because it kind of sounds nice and it kind of seems like it's what's happening, they think it's true. But in my opinion, it's not really true. And even if it was true, right? Let's give these people the benefit of the doubt, right? Whether it's David Icke or these other people who think they're lizard people, right? Even if it's true, what can we really do about it? Nothing. I mean, if the top 1% of the top 1% are planning to put the entire world in a police state and kill everybody to reduce population control or whatever, I mean, what do we have to do? Nothing. Like, unless you just go and live in the forest, right, and isolation your whole life, you can't really fight it yourself. So I mean, I think but we can invest our time and resources in better avenues, like trying to make more money, right, in crypto. So with that being said, let's get back to talking about making money. Okay, all right. So next question. XRP is the new bridge currency. Okay, people really want me to get political here, it seems. Okay, so next question. What do you think about the current events and all of the mass arrests that are taking place? Okay, I'm not sure which arrests you're talking about. I haven't been following the news that much to where I've been hearing about arrests. And oh, I see Diego's on. What's up, Diego? What mass arrests are you talking about? Okay, maybe here, let me do a quick Google search and see, maybe we can find exactly what he's talking about. Okay, I'm seeing mass arrests of bankers in Spain. Let's see here. Okay, if we go to the news. Okay, Charlotte abortion protesters arrested. Saudi Arabia detains officials. And new corruption probes. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what arrests you're talking about, so I don't think I can really answer this question. Let me check the comments here. Hey, what's up, Barry? How's it going? Yeah, so let's skip this question since they didn't really give me details on which arrests are happening. Thoughts on eternity? Well, we do have it on Tokenmetrics. So if we go to eternity, and let's go to the short-term score. I mean, eternity is a project our developer does like. Short-term, right? Sorry, long-term, tech-wise, technology-wise. Fundamentals can be better. Now, looking here just really at the short-term grade, it's not really doing so good at the moment. It's just an okay project. If we go to the TA, now if you do want to check the full long-term grade, just go to tokenmetrics.com. But I mean, it's been pretty flat in the last, yeah, it's been pretty flat. So can't really say much other than that. But definitely go check out the full review online on tokenmetrics.com. All right, let me just take a look here. All right, is Omisego a good crypto to invest in? Omisego. All right, let's do OMG next. Okay, so looking at OMG from a short-term perspective, short-term it's okay as well. Okay, I mean here, so if we want to, let's just go through the short-term grades. So these are the top cryptocurrencies right now short-term. Now the grades aren't really so good, so Tokenmetrics is not really so bullish on crypto at the moment, right? So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash, Matic, Cosmos, Maker, Neo, Binance, Cardano, Hedera Hashgraph, Omisego. Omisego is at 11. So these are the top 10 right now at the moment. So, I mean, it's basically saying the market is not so bullish at the moment because typically most of the grades, the good grades will be in the 80% and some in 90%, right? So the fact that they're this low, it's not a good time to be speculating at the moment. But let's see how things change next week. Okay, so most of these I'm getting lots of token questions. I think let's leave the token questions for people to go check on the website so that way we can get through the other questions. So let me just take out the specific token questions. And let's see here. Okay. Your thoughts on ontology? Can it overtake Neo and get similar all-time highs to Neo? Okay, more token questions. Okay, so now this one I think is interesting because we're looking at two Asian or Chinese cryptocurrencies that are kind of competing, but they come from the same developers in a way. So ontology versus Neo, which one is better? Now, all we can really do is answer this short term, right? Neo has a higher rating than ontology. Neo is number 7 on the Tokenmetrics index, right? And if we go to ontology, ontology is 51. So in our opinion, Neo is better at the moment, right? fundamental 72, technology 64, while ontology is 50 and 62. So in our opinion, short term, but also even probably long term, we probably think Neo has the edge. Now, obviously, things were different. I think back in 2018 when there was lots of hype on ontology and it was brand new and they're doing a new ICO and all that stuff, but it seems that hype has faded and Neo is still at the forefront. All right, next question. Okay, what's your largest investment at the moment? Oh, so my largest investment at the moment, I would say Tokenmetrics. I mean, I'm all in on Tokenmetrics. Tokenmetrics is my largest investment. So, if you haven't joined Tokenmetrics.com yet, you definitely should join, because if it's my largest investment, that means I'm all in. I believe in it a lot. I mean, that's why we're doing this. So definitely join if you haven't yet already. That was kind of a trick question. Okay. Next question. Thoughts on Mimblewimble? We haven't rated that yet. I don't believe so. Let me take a look. Yeah, we don't have that on Tokenmetrics, unfortunately. So we'll have to skip that. Is there anything better about ET over Neo? I don't think there is tech-wise. Not sure what you mean ET. You do mean ETH? Ethereum? Ethereum is definitely better than Neo in our opinion. Okay, what do you recommend to eat in this crisis? Obviously, I'm not the healthiest person or a doctor or a nutritionist, so probably outside my expertise. But I mean, I would say eat organic foods, natural foods, plant-based foods. I'm kind of a flexitarian, is the term. So meaning that I eat very little meat. I'm not full-on vegetarian yet, although I did try that. But I have meat here and there, but on rare occasions, on special occasions, probably every 1 or 2 weeks. But for the most part, I mean, I'm just eating plant-based foods, and to me, it's been a very good thing to do. So plant-based foods, playing basketball, trying to get healthier. So still have ways to go, but I'm working on that. So I mean, that's what's been working for me. That's all I can really recommend. But each person is different. People have different dietary needs. So what could work for one person could not work for the other. So definitely consult a professional. All right. Okay, hold on. I think I am getting kind of sleepy. So let me add some music here.
We just landed on the moon in a Lambo.
Okay. All right, so next question. What are your thoughts on 0x, and when and how will they get BNB-like utility? Well, I think this won't really happen. I mean, because Binance is a centralized exchange, and 0x protocol is building a decentralized exchange infrastructure, right? So the two are really, they have polarizing philosophies, right? So I would say, I mean, in the interview today with Pomp, I know CZ did mention that they're possibly looking at making Binance decentralized or into a DAO. I mean, I'll see it when I believe it, but they have a $1 billion company, and creating something that's fully decentralized is going to be definitely challenging because the company is heavily centralized. But I mean, 0x protocol itself, the token now, I think they do plan to make an update to it to make it almost a DAO-like governance token, which I think is great because that's really what Compound and all these other DeFi products are trying to do, kind of like MakerDAO. So I would say, to answer your question, how and when will they get it? I don't know, but I think if they do get it, it's going to be something similar to MakerDAO, because MakerDAO is really the premier DeFi project. And I think the way their token works is the same way that future cryptocurrency projects will try to model. They'll try to model themselves after MakerDAO. Now, when our team was doing research on MakerDAO, we found it very interesting that the MakerDAO cryptocurrency token is not trading on Binance. The only big exchanges trading on is OKX, which I find very, very interesting, right? It kind of got our attention. I mean, do the other platforms think it's a security? Or maybe the other platforms just were charging too much to list? Who knows, right? It's kind of hard to tell in this space nowadays. But I find it very interesting that they don't have MakerDAO listed, because I mean, it's the premier DeFi project, and the only big exchange really listing it is OKX. All right, next question. Okay, so do you see gold-backed token? Do you see a gold-backed token like PAXG and XAUT being utilized in the future? So yes. I mean, so as mentioned earlier in the show, I mean, I'll have our team check into Paxos Gold, because I think this is definitely something, especially in times like this with hyperinflation, that something that really is going to become a big need. Because as opposed to having to cash out your crypto to fiat and then go onto a different gold platform to buy gold, if you can just do everything in crypto, I mean, that's a huge advantage. I mean, so that's why my attention has definitely moved to Paxos. So if we go here to CoinMarketCap and pull it up, if it's working. Why isn't this working? Okay, hold on, just give me 1 second. Seems CoinMarketCap isn't loading for me. Okay, let us redo this. Okay, there we go. So Pax Gold. I mean, because the volume is pretty decent, 2 million a day USD, and it's trading on Kraken and Bitcoin. But I would say for the people out there who are in America or Europe, the best exchange is probably Kraken, because Bitthumb I think is mainly Korean, but it's Bitthumb global. So actually maybe they do take it. I'm not sure. But I mean, volume, okay, on Kraken is pretty low. Then Truth Pro, I've never heard of this exchange. This seems like a scam. But hey, who knows? But I see here even Derivatives has it. FTX has it listed. Volume is pretty low as well. But I mean, Kraken seems to be the exchange to get it. Now, if we go to the website here, right? So,
gold has been valued all.
Let me pause that video. So, I mean, why this has really got my attention. Now, I don't own any, but I am doing research on it, right? It's basically this, right? The New York State Department of Financial Services regulates it, right? So they're a trust company and custodian that's regulated, which is crucial when it comes to gold, because you want to make sure your gold is actually there. And they say it's redeemable, right? So it's the only gold token that you can redeem for LBMA, accredited good delivery, gold bullion bars. Okay. Then it says low fees, flexible, so you can easily convert or redeem PAXG for fiat, physical, or unallocated gold via the Paxos platform, and it's ERC20 token. So I mean, definitely got my attention with that. Here they have this comparison. Now, other gold tokens. So obviously, this is the chart that say that they're better than all the other platforms, all the other gold companies. So I mean, from initial research, it seems like the premier gold-backed cryptocurrency to have. You also mentioned XAUT. Okay, this one, let me look into. Okay, Tether Gold. Okay, so this one is also priced based on the price of gold. So the good thing about those two is they're both priced at the actual price of gold. Let's look at what trading pairs. Okay, this is on Bitfinex and FTX, but mainly Bitfinex. So, and Bitfinex has had their issues with being trustworthy, right? Where with Tether, right, the Tether scandals they've had about not having the actual reserves allocated for. Okay, but let's see what they say here. Okay, they have proof of funds. Okay, so let's open that up and take a look. Okay, stable currency. Tether converts cash into digital currency. 100% backed. Okay, so this is, yeah, proof of funds is going to be tough with this because they're not really regulated. So, I mean, quite honestly, I would not really trust them, but let's see what they have here. So this is a PDF from okay, when was this dated? This is June 1st, 2018. I mean, okay. Okay, I mean, so we're in 2020. So this hasn't been updated? I mean, hell no. I mean, hold up. Where's the...
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
So, I mean, yeah, that definitely is hella sketchy.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Yes, they would. Yes, they would. Now, I'm not saying they don't have the money, but I'm saying it smells fishy, right? It smells hella fishy. So because of that, and because that Pax Gold itself is regulated, I'm more inclined to go with the regulated company, right? Because I'm trying to mitigate and remove as much risk as possible. So, I mean, going to your question in terms of these two, I think Pax G is the one that really has a future because it's regulated and people will have more trust in it, especially the fact that Tether has had issues in the past, right? So I think Pax G can be used in the future, and that's why our team is looking into adding that on Tokenmetrics. So that way, maybe as the market is moving, the TA on it gets even better, and it tells our customers, hey, maybe now's a good time to get in or out of Pax G, right? So let me know what you think. Which one do you think has a better shot of performing well in the future? Let me know down in the comments below. Okay, let's take a look at the comments here. Doing well, Barry, doing well. Staying safe as well. Ian, love the show like always. Thank you, Crypto Secret Circle. I appreciate the kind words. Hey, Ian, can you give a shout out to Alex Kang? It would make his day. Alex Kang, what's up? I guess Peter's your friend. Thank you so much for watching the show. Appreciate it. Definitely subscribe and share with your friends. Smash those like buttons and help us go viral. I mean, in times like this, more people need to get information like this. So definitely try to spread the word. And thank you, Peter, for sharing the show with your friend. All right. Let's see here. What happened to ICX? I mean, ICX hasn't really recovered since the last bull market. But I mean, they have been growing pretty well with... I've been keeping tabs on them through their newsletter. I know the P-Reps. I had an interview with a P-Rep person. He had me on his podcast. So kind of talked about that. I mean, I think they really have a good community growing. So definitely worth keeping an eye on. Solo TV, what's up, man? Hope all is good, fam. What do you think of VeChain? VeChain short term. Let me take a look here at VeChain short term. Just give me 1 second to pull it up. All right, so let us pull up VeChain. Right now, Tokenmetrics rank short term is 38, market cap is 36, so not so bullish on it at the moment. All right, let's go to other questions here. I'm seeing people talking about KYC. Somebody made 550K from an ICO. Nice, nice. Veteran says Bitcoin is a distraction for the sheep, the herd. Strong words, but you know what? I kind of agree with you. I mean, not to have a hot take, but okay, all right. Let me kind of go through my thought process. First of all, let me just preface this by saying I'm not saying Bitcoin is bad technology. This is the part where all the BTC maximalists really tune out, right? BTC has great technology, right? So now that we have that out of the way, we're looking at this as value investors. And value investors, you don't just blindly look at the technology. You also look at the price. What price are you getting? Right? So looking at Bitcoin can be great technology, but not a good investment. Meaning that what's the likelihood of Bitcoin doing a 10x or 100x versus the likelihood of some other cryptocurrency that has a lower valuation, right? So looking at Blockstack, for example, Blockstack's market cap is less than 30 million. So in our opinion, we think Blockstack has probably a higher chance of doing a 10x or even a 100x. Right? 10x just gets Blockstack to 300 million market cap. 100x gets it to 3 billion market cap. Now, that's not to say that Blockstack is ever going to do that, because obviously there are no guarantees in investing. But as a risk taker, we have to look at the possible rewards, right? Risk versus to reward ratio. Now, once again, we're not saying Bitcoin is dead or Bitcoin is a bad project or bad cryptocurrency. We're just saying, yes, we have some Bitcoin, but purely having all our eggs in one basket in Bitcoin is not a smart idea. I mean, we have to diversify, right? One thing the BTC Maximals don't tell you is, I mean, having all your eggs in one basket is a bad idea. So diversifying into some altcoins, not into every altcoin, but into a select few group of altcoins that have the potential to do well based on deep fundamental analysis, deep code reviews, and technology reviews does make sense, especially if they're heavily undervalued, right? With a market cap of under 30 million, right? So, I mean, in my opinion, going back to what this person said, right? Bitcoin is for the herd or for the sheep. I think there's some truth to that, right? Obviously, it's not 100% true. Bitcoin is a great project, but I mean, if you're doing what everybody else is doing, why are you investing? I mean, you might as well just invest in an index fund. Okay? I mean, if you want average gains, yes. Right? If you want a safe investment, yes. But our strategy is to be exposed to, I mean, because in the book, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, which is a classic book on value investing, they say diversification means having minimum 10 investments and maximum 30. Right? So, for example, the Dow Jones has the top 30 companies in the US stock market, right? That's how they did multi-diversified investment index. So you can maybe do the same thing in crypto, but I would say definitely minimum 10. Now, how you split up the pie varies based on your strategy. You can divide it up evenly, or you can divide it up based on market cap, based on price, or based on the grades on tokenmetrics. It's all up to you, right? So with the indexes we're creating, we're planning to divide it up probably based on our grading system. So definitely stay tuned on that. No time frame on when that's going to launch, but we think, I mean, we love to diversify. And if the BTC Maximals want to kill us for being smart investors and diversifying our investments, I mean, let them take that L. Let them take that L. All right, let me take a few more questions here. Hello, dear. Great chat. Thank you, Angie. Good to have you here. G-Man, preach. BTC doesn't have enough excess. Yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, in translation, Bitcoin is expensive. So something can be great, but it's expensive. As investors, we're looking for undervalued investments. We want to buy something when it's heavily undervalued. I mean, because all the people who are saying BTC is great investment are the people who got in early and want you to buy their bags. So yes, Bitcoin is great, but it's a very expensive investment. Now, that doesn't mean don't have any Bitcoin, because obviously if you go to tokenomics, Bitcoin is usually number one or number two. But what we're saying is don't have only Bitcoin. Have a diversified basket of cryptocurrencies. We think that long term is actually safer, because if the 10 cryptocurrencies you have in your portfolio don't have any correlation with each other, that's even better. That's a good way to reduce the risk in your investment. All right, back to the AMA. Scott or Charmin? Talking about toilet paper? I would say Charmin. Charmin for sure, I think. Okay, TBTC, Keep, and Compound. Okay, I don't really know much about TBTC. Keep. Is Keep the hardware wallet? Compound. Compound I haven't used, but I think it's definitely up and coming. Definitely worth keeping an eye on. Let me just go through here and see what other things we have here. Okay. Yeah, so just don't really know what you mean by this, but we'll have to go through that at a different time. What are your thoughts on Binance removing leveraged tokens and adding in unfair options trading? Okay, so my thoughts on Binance removing leveraged tokens and adding unfair options trading. Well, the thing about this, right, you have to realize Binance doesn't have fiduciary duty, meaning that they don't have your best interest at heart. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? That's what, because when it comes to investing platforms, you have platforms that make money, commissions on trading, on fees, right? Basically broker dealers. In America, that's why exchanges typically have to be broker dealers. In crypto, it's different because some of them are offshore, operating in jurisdictions where they can not follow those rules. But in general, right, you have broker dealers, right? You have companies that don't have a fiduciary duty, meaning they can recommend to you something that makes them money and doesn't really necessarily make you money. But then you have other people who have a fiduciary duty to their customer, to their client, meaning that they have a duty, an obligation to recommend something to you and put your best interest over theirs. So that's what investment advisors have to do. That's why here in America with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, there's a high barrier to that. That's why I took the Series 65 investment advisor exam, and we're in the process of applying to make Tokenmetrics an RIA, a registered investment advisor, meaning that in the future, once we build a robo-advisor, the idea is we will have a fiduciary duty to help our customers make money over any other interest, even ours. So, meaning that we can't legally try to sell you something that's more expensive. So, for example, right, let's say somebody wants to buy Icon, and Icon is trading on Binance and is trading on OKX, but if we direct our customers to OKX, we get more trading fees. A broker and dealer or somebody who doesn't have a fiduciary duty can do that because they get bigger commission fees. But with somebody who has a fiduciary duty, they cannot do that. They have to have your best interests at heart. So they have to refer you to Binance, for example, if it has the lowest fees. So anyway, how does this tie into Binance? Well, Binance is not really regulated, right? Even the Binance US, they don't have a fiduciary duty, right? So because of that, I mean, you have to know what you're playing with, right? So if you're trading on Binance, you have to understand that. So they'll never have your best interest at heart. They could say they do, they could try to do it, right? But just know that from a legal perspective, they're not at fault if they don't. Right now, them adding options trading. So from a business perspective, it makes sense. They're trying to grow their platform, their ecosystem. I'm guessing traders want options, but we all know that most people who trade lose money. I mean, first of all, Binance bought CoinMarketCap for $400 million in a depression. I mean, so they're printing money. They're printing cash, right?
Shut up and take my money.
Right?
Shut up and take my money.
They're printing cash right now. So, I mean, first of all, I'm curious how they financed it, whether it was straight cash, whether it was through BNB token. And first of all, congratulations to Brandon Ches, I believe is the name, the founder of CoinMarketCap. They built a company, didn't take any equity, and he cashed out for 400 milli. I mean, talk about selling off into the sunset. I mean, that definitely does give all the crypto entrepreneurs out there hope that, hey, maybe they can build something big like that, especially all the companies out there that didn't really take equity or raise much equity, right? So, but anyway, back on topic to Binance. I mean, I think it makes sense because they're building an exchange. So having options, having features, having all those things that can bring them more customers does make sense. But yes, while most traders do lose money, most traders kind of have to know that going in, right? I know that, okay, yes, I'm giving this platform money, and I know most traders lose money, so you have to take responsibility and the onus of doing that, right? Okay, let me go on to the next question. Okay, more political questions. Is it possible that Trump can stay president if we go to war in 4 years? Oh man. Okay, so I think this person is basically saying he's assuming Trump wins the general election in November this year, and he stays president for 4 years. And then I think after that, if we go into a war, 4 years later, when it's the next general election, he could stay in power. Sorry. I would say it's possible. I mean, obviously, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the Constitution in and out like that. But my understanding is the president can issue a martial law where basically they take power over the country for a set period of time during times of war, right? So, because obviously if we're in a war, it might not even be possible for people to go out and vote and have an election. So, I mean, yes, there's always that possibility that, like, imagine America was being bombed everywhere and we're in World War III, right? Actually, it's probably a good time to go back in history and see. I know it's never been done before in America, but because I'd have to go through and see what happened in World War II and World War I. But obviously it's not been done yet in America, so it would definitely be unprecedented if it did happen. But I think it is possible, right? When there's martial law or a police state, that everything, Congress and everything is basically in standstill and people are just focused on the war and surviving the war. So, I mean, it's definitely possible, but highly improbable because it's never happened before in history. All right. Will Bitcoin ever get privacy implemented like the white paper states? Yeah, I think so. Right? I mean, Bitcoin has... I know that lots of people out there that are working on creating private versions of Bitcoin. Now, whether or not it's going to happen anytime soon, who knows? But I think the question is, even if it does happen, will Bitcoin then replace all the other privacy coins like Monero, Dash, Zcash, Nimblewimble, Beam? I think the answer is no, because let's say Bitcoin in the future does create privacy. I think it will just be like a generic privacy implementation. I don't think it will be really anything advanced because Bitcoin has to do really one thing well. They can't be a jack of all trades. They can't do everything well. So, because Monero, they focus purely on privacy. Like, that's their bread and butter. So, for Bitcoin to try to do privacy better than Monero, I find that hard to believe, right? Because Monero, that's all they do, 100%. It's just purely focused on privacy. While Bitcoin will be doing lots of other things, right? Lightning Network, they have so many plates they're spinning, it's hard for them to focus on just purely one thing and do it well. So I think Bitcoin, if they do ever add on privacy, it will be a very basic level of privacy. And for anybody who wants something more advanced, they'll have to go to cryptocurrencies that specialize purely in that. All right, next question. What low cap stocks, sleep picks do you like? I would say go to tokenmetrics.com and sign up. Also check out the videos from our new affiliates. So shout out to BitBoy Crypto. He made a video on his channel where he talked about the best altcoin picks using tokenmetrics for April. So definitely check him out. It's a pleasure having him on board here. Right? I think pretty much each month he will go through and give his input on tokenmetrics. He's also doing a review coming up as well. And then also Alexander, right? On Alexander Lorenzo as well. So he's also joined the Tokenmetrics affiliate program. If you haven't yet already, I highly recommend you go and join, especially in times like this. So you can make some money. I mean, Alexander and Ben of BitBoy Crypto, they've already referred more than 10 people on the trial, and it's growing. I mean, the growth has been pretty crazy. So if you have a YouTube channel, definitely recommend you go to partners.tokenmetrics.com and join the affiliate program. We have 40% recurring commission for 12 months and 10% recurring commissions on sub-affiliates for 12 months. So you can make some money in times like this. So for anybody out there who's been looking to really develop an income online, because maybe you had a job and maybe you've been furloughed or laid off, unfortunately, right? Because maybe you're applying for jobless claims or for unemployment benefits. Working online from home is a great start, especially if you create content, if you have an audience, a following. Definitely recommend you join the affiliate program. Could be a good way to supplement and build up a nice side hustle. All right, next question. You still holding Icon? No, I sold Icon a long time ago. I sold my Icon in 2018. Never looked back. I mean, and this is the part where you go against the grain, because I sold Icon. I mean, I sold Icon on the way up to $12 and on the way down. But I sold my last Icon when it was around $2. And man, crypto Twitter roasted me. I mean, they roasted me to death, pretty much, right? Saying, oh, wrecked. You know, Ian Blaine is capitulating. But last time I checked, Icon was at 17 cents. You know, so just screenshot their tweets and send them back those tweets and say, I mean, was I wrong to sell at that time? And obviously, in hindsight, no, right? So, lesson being, you know, don't believe the herd, right? If anything you're doing is what the herd says, you might want to think twice about it, right? Because the herd is typically wrong. Okay. What are your thoughts on DeFi project Numerai and its application Erasure? I've not looked into Erasure. Numerai I am aware of. We don't have that in the system. I don't believe so. Let me take a look. No, we don't have that in the system. As mentioned before, we do have issues with the forum. Emails are not being sent out to people, so we'll look into the issue and try to fix it. But the idea is once that's fixed, people can go on the forum and submit questions and projects for us to review. All right. Okay. Will IEOs ever make a comeback? Or will there be a new better form of it for the next bull run? Okay, this one is tough, right? IEOs, they come and go. They come in cycles. I think right now, because the market is just not so good, and I mean, all the exchanges haven't found any good IEOs. So I think that's why they aren't really doing IEOs, because people got tired of losing money. I mean, because even when I mean, really, I think that these exchanges need token metrics. Okay, so if you work for an exchange, join the Token Metrics Alliance. So that way you can use our platform to find the next Matic network. I mean, all the hot IEOs that were happening. I mean, we found them early. I mean, we found Matic Network a year before their IEO. Elrond a year before their IEO. Even the ones on KuCoin. I mean, the Diversity didn't do well, but all the early IEOs, Chromia, Multivac, Cody, all the others. I mean, but now project exchanges are doing IEOs, but they're garbage. I mean, they're projects nobody wants to touch, right? So I think until they're good IEOs, there'll be no IEO market, because it all depends on good projects. Like if a great project came out now, like if the next Cosmos came out now, like imagine if Cosmos IEO happened today. Doesn't matter if we're in a recession, people, at least those who have done their research, would want to invest, right? Or if Matic came out now. So the question is really when a good project is going to happen. So one project we have on our radar is Casper Labs, but I mean, we did put out an official review on Token Metrics. If you go to the IEO section, it's there. So definitely check that out. That is definitely one worth watching. It is on our watch list. But even with that, with IEOs, they become nothing but pump and dumps, right? So the time to get an IEO isn't really during the IEO, like unless you're doing a quick flip. If your plan is to flip it in less than a day or two, yes, then buy it on exchanges. But if your plan is to hold for more than a year to qualify for long-term capital gains, then you don't want to buy during the IEO. You want to buy it after it's fizzled out, after all the speculators have left or capitulated, and you want to buy when there's blood in the streets. So the IEO will go up and down for a bit, for a day or two, then dip. Basically, it will go straight down. Then you wait for it to kind of go through a U phase, or like I would say a U or a V. They really have V-shaped phases, but I would wait for it to bottom out for everybody to sell, and then you slowly accumulate, maybe even dollar cost average. So I think a good perspective would be looking to buy a good IEO project post IEO 3 to 6 months after the IEO, right? So 1 or 2 quarters afterwards, when all the speculation has died down. And I think, in my opinion, that's really the best strategy at the moment for IEOs. So going back to your question, are IEOs really dead? For now, yes. I think they'll make a comeback when a good project does well, right? Because you have to have a success story. And there has been no success story recently with IEOs. So as a result, people become jaded and nobody wants to lose money consistently. So, but once people hear, hey, suddenly made a 10x return on an IEO, guess what? IEOs will be hot all over again. So the market moves in cycles. Be careful, be cautious. If you're a long-term investor, stay away from IEOs. Even if it's a project you like, wait for the speculators to get out of the way and look to possibly start accumulating 3 to 6 months after it's died down. Not financial advice. Okay, all right. On to the next question. Okay. Tone Vase said bottom is most likely in on his video last night for BTC and DJI. Do you agree? And what would change your mind? Well, I mean, looking at token metrics, so if we go to token metrics, if we go to BTC, so I mean, short term, I mean, so Bitcoin, we're always bullish on Bitcoin, but if we look at it from a trading perspective, short term, meaning in the next 30 days or less, we're not so bullish on it at the moment. Now, obviously, the ratings change daily, right? But based right now purely on the technical analysis, we're not so bullish on Bitcoin. And for the most part, it's been that way this entire week. It's been neutral and bearish, and the price hasn't really moved much, right? So that kind of looks to be really on point with that. Now, in terms of the stock market, that, I mean, I can't really predict, but if I had to look at the data right? I would say it's gonna get worse before it gets better, right? Looking at the Dow Jones, I mean, all the airline industries have been wrecked. I mean, they're down 50%, some even 75%. Hold on, let me see if I can find that article. Airlines down 75%. Okay, right? But I mean, the travel industry has just decimated hotel chains, right? So let's take a look at some of these stocks. Hilton stock. Actually, maybe let's just go on TradingView. TradingView should have this data. Okay. Let's say Hilton Worldwide, right? So let's go to the weekly. I mean, wow. Do you guys see this? So went from a high of 115 to $55. Right, so this is Hilton. Let's go to Marriott. First of all, I love Hilton. I'm a Hilton Diamond member, right? So I mean, I don't like seeing this. Marriott is down from 153 to $58. Right, so I mean, this does not look good, people. Now, what other hotel chain is there? Right, because yeah, they've lost 155 to 60. Right, 155 minus 60 is 95. It's over 61%. Marriott is down 61% since basically beginning of the year. So, I mean, so what am I getting at? I'm getting at the travel industry, supply chain, manufacturing companies have been decimated. Now, we're getting into first time these companies have to report earnings, and end of Q1, end of Q2, all these companies will report horrible earnings. So they'll get even more decimated. And I think we may even see some airlines go bankrupt. Whether airlines, hotel chains, some of these companies will go bankrupt, and the bailout may not even be enough to help some of these companies. So similar to back in 2008 financial crisis, where Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns went bankrupt, and either got bought by some other company that had a better balance sheet, like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan. I think the same thing is going to happen to some of these companies being heavily affected by this. Okay, I mean, I know Tonebase is a trader, but my question would be, what time frame is he looking at, right? Is he looking at a short-term time frame, or is he looking at a super long-term time frame? Because, I mean, when earnings come and people say, all these companies say, hey, we have nobody staying in our hotels, we have nobody flying on our planes, we have nobody that's really, I mean, buying our equipment. Because let me go back to the newsletter we sent out to our customers, right? To the Tokenmetrics customers. So in the so if we look at this, GDP is down all across the world, right? Unemployment is going through the roof. And then manufacturing in China is down 13% in the first 2 months. So we have all of this happening. So with all that happening, I don't really see how you can say that the bottom is in. Okay. I mean, because to me, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. I mean, when Marriott is down 61% in the first 3 months, and they have to report earnings which are going to be worse, and when Warren Buffett, the hodlers of all hodlers, sells over $300 million worth of Delta Airlines a week after he said he didn't plan to sell anything. And when he sells, I think, 74 million of Southwest Airlines. So if Warren Buffett is selling, the Oracle of Omaha, the world's best investor, is selling. Now, he didn't give any reasons why he's selling, right? It could be for some other reasons. But, I mean, I don't see how it gets better, right? So I think to say the bottom is in is premature. I think we have to wait for these earnings reports to happen, and for the market to now reprice and reevaluate all these different stocks. So because of that, I don't think the bottom is in, right? But that's just my opinion. right? It remains to be seen what happens after that, but I think to say the bottom is in is definitely wrong, right? Now, I mean, obviously I'm friends with Tone Vase, so, but still, you know, my analysis is my analysis, and that's my take, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think the bottom is in, or for Bitcoin or for the Dow Jones? Okay, let me take a look at the comments here and see how we're doing. Okay. All right, just give me a few seconds here. Christopher says, what's your take on BitBoy Crypto's last coin that wasn't on your list? The last coin that wasn't on the list, I mean, I would say, I mean, our list is our list, so we believe in the risk, all right? So the top 10 on there, Felix says, I got to know about Tokemetrics via Alexander Lorenzo. Nice, nice. That's amazing, Felix. Thank you so much for the support and for joining Tokemetrics. Pratik says, I'm going to try out the Tokemetrics today, but I want you to add more coins for the portfolio portion. Now, you should be able to add coins to your portfolio. Now, there shouldn't be an issue to that. Let me know what issue you're having specifically. Also, be able to just contact us on the customer support chat if you like. Okay, I put money in tokens I can use, and the ones that get the least complaints from their users. Do you compile complaints in tokens? We don't compile complaints in tokens per se, but we do show whether or not the cryptocurrency had a scandal. So if we go to the fundamental section, so in a way we kind of do factor that in. So let me find a scandal. Right, where it says, was the company or key team member involved in a scandal? So we say yes or no. So indirectly, it is kind of factored into our rating, right? So obviously, projects that have had scandals in the past don't get good scores. Okay, all right, let's go on to the next questions here. Let's see what people have to say. Somebody's stuck in Thailand. Like we can't add coins like UBT or other lesser known coins. Oh, okay. So yeah, so that's something I'll have to talk with our team to see how we can, because right now we only have coins that have been reviewed, but maybe we'll just add coins that, yeah, maybe we can have people submit coins. Maybe I'll have to talk with our developers and see how to best do that. To add coins that people can keep track of. That way, maybe we have just the TA score, and then eventually, if we can get to it, we add the fundamental score and the other scores as well. All right, let me see here. Ian, let's review Atom Cosmos. I think it's relatively undervalued with high potential. Yeah, Diego, I mean, we've been reviewing Cosmos almost every show. Cosmos definitely is a good project. In our opinion, go on Tokemetrics, check out the full review. It's typically been in the top 10 long term, so definitely a good project. Okay, BitMax is taking over on the sneak tip. G-Flat, okay, thanks for the comment. I mean, we do have a review on BitMax. We're not so bullish on it right now, but I mean, they definitely have been putting in the work. All right. Okay, let's go back to the AMA. Okay, when Tokemetrics and Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. I mean, maybe in the future. I would say definitely maybe when we make more money. Right now we're just kind of focused on growing the company, but I definitely encourage you to join the Tokemetrics Alliance. If you have a company and you're a service provider, join the Tokemetrics Alliance. So what is the alliance about? Well, we're doing three things. We're collaborating on investment research, so bringing all the investors together and helping with due diligence and sharing our deal flow and expertise and analysis. Investor networking, and networking with investors, whether it's remotely, in person at conferences, dinners, events, right? Just sharing our expertise and network and education. So being able to educate investors with live events, seminars, things like that. We're also looking into possibly creating a Tokenmetrics virtual summit and bringing together people with different expertise to just kind of share their thoughts and input via a online session. So stay tuned for that. Currently, we have 6 companies, right? Obviously, Tokenmetrics. We have Master Ventures based in Thailand, or Hong Kong, BizStocks Exchange, Me Ventures. They're early seed investors in Matic Network. They're actually the ones who exposed us to Matic Network 1 year before their IEO. They're based in India. Block Advisors, Data Puppet. So definitely recommend you go and join the alliance if you have an interest. Just go to tokenmetrics.com/alliance and just click here to email us, right? We're looking for crypto service providers who are looking to be great and help build the crypto investor ecosystem. So highly recommend to get involved in the crypto space through ventures like this. All right. Okay, next question. Okay. What would the next 4 years under Biden look like in general and for the markets? Okay. Obviously, this is going to be purely speculation. In my opinion, first of all, I'll just preface this by saying I don't really know. Okay, but if I had to speculate, I would say probably more the same of what Obama did. I mean, because obviously Biden was the vice president under Obama, so I would say whatever Obama did in his 8 years, I think Biden would really just continue that, right? He would continue the same thing. Biden is really a moderate. He's a moderate Democrat, right? He's not too liberal, so he's definitely not going to blow up everything like Bernie Sanders. Okay, so that's why the status quo likes him, right? That's why the establishment likes him, right? The Democratic establishment likes Biden because he's not going to blow up everything. He's just going to continue what's been happening before under Democrats. So I think that's really what's going to happen, right? Maybe he would kind of undo some of the things Trump has done from a conservative perspective, but I think it's really just going to be the same thing of what Trump did. So in general, with the markets, I think it'll be the same thing, right? So whether Democrat, Republican, I mean, they've been printing more money. So I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. With the Fed, they'll keep on printing more money. There'll be more quantitative easing. So I think now it's really a bipartisan objective to keep printing more money and bring about inflation and reducing the purchasing power of Americans. So I don't really think that would change. So if anything, he'll just keep on doing the same stuff, right? Maybe from a trade perspective and dealing with other countries, right? With the global economy would probably be different from Trump. Trump has really kind of had a almost extreme perspective, right? Trump has kind of, right, like having the trade war with China. I don't think Biden would have done anything quite like that. But I mean, all this is just purely speculation and not to be used as any form of economic or financial advice for sure. Okay, next question. Warren Buffett bought airline stocks when he vowed he would never. Is Bitcoin or Ethereum next? And what will his cosign mean to institutional money? Okay. First of all, I mean, I love Warren Buffett. I think he's a great investor. But if you look at his investment thesis, I mean, I don't think he'll ever buy Bitcoin. Okay. Now, that's not to say I don't think he will ever buy a Bitcoin because he's a value investor. He's not really a speculator. When he buys something, he buys for 10 years. And he's heavily invested in so many banks, right? He owns Bank of America and lots of other banks. And the fact that he never bought Amazon, never bought Google, and never bought these high growth tech companies, it goes against all logic and his entire philosophy to buy even more speculative assets like cryptocurrencies. Because if he didn't invest in speculative growth stocks, right, he's a value investor. He buys when something is extremely undervalued and the PE ratio is very low, right? He didn't buy stocks that had high PE ratios, high price to earnings multiples. Meaning that, for example, like the Googles, the Amazons of the world, he didn't buy those companies. But I mean, he did buy companies like Apple, for example, but the super high growth companies that were that had their price so high versus how much money they're actually making, right? He buys stable companies that have steady cash flows, good balance sheets. Like Apple has a huge balance sheet. They have so much money in the bank, right? Like they could buy like Tesla if they wanted to, I believe. So for him to really go against that grain and go all in on crypto, I don't see that happening. I think he would buy Google. He would buy the Ubers of the world, for example, right? The Lyfts of the world. Those early stage, those new companies that are really being priced for future growth potential. He would buy those before buying anything crypto related, right? Before buying Bitcoin. So I don't think he was going to buy Bitcoin before buying those companies. And I don't see him buying those companies because that would mean he's completely tossed his entire philosophy of value investing out the window and become a speculator. And that's not really going to happen, right? So, I mean, going back to your question, right? What will this cosign mean for institutional money? Okay, so let's say maybe let's kind of play the opposite, right? Let's say he does, for some reason, buy Bitcoin, buy crypto. I mean, it will be a huge cosign. I mean, huge cosign. I mean, it will be...
Shut up and take my money. Shut up and take my money.
Like, people will be racing to buy more crypto and Bitcoin. It'll be a huge endorsement. But I think the goal should not be to wait for that endorsement. The goal should be for us to be in already. So if endorsements like that ever do come, because they are coming, not from the Warren Buffetts of the world, but from other large institutional investors. But I think we're still far out from that happening because institutional investors need regulation and compliance. And right now, those platforms and that infrastructure is still not there yet. I mean, yes, we have improved in the last 2 years, but we're still not there yet. And I think it's going to take a while for that to happen. So, I mean, we can't be waiting for their cosign. I mean, we co-sign ourselves, right? That's kind of the attitude. We co-sign ourselves because that's what it takes to be, ironically, a value investor. You don't listen to Mr. Market, as they say in the book, right? You come to your own conclusions and your own analysis, and you stick by it. And for us, we've done our analysis on Bitcoin and crypto. We think it's probably going to do well in the future, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here every day, Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, doing these live streams. And we're in it. We're in this for the long haul. And whenever those cosigns do come, it will be great because it will. When those cosigns come, it will be time for us to take some profits because the price will go up. And as we said earlier, you buy from pessimists and sell to optimists. You buy the dip in a bear market, and you sell, take profits in a bull market. And when those institutional investors do come in and cosign, it will bring in a bull market. So it will be time for us to take some profits, take out at least minimum our initial investment, cash out, diversify into other asset classes, maybe go on a vacation, go on a vacation on the moon and beyond, right? I think that's really the strategy to have when those cosigns do eventually come, because they are coming. Now, we can't predict who exactly will cosign. I don't think it will be Buffett. It will be other large institutional investors. But when the cosigns do come, it's time to cash out. Not fully cash out, but take some money off the table because you don't want to be left holding a bag when it pumps and dumps. All right, let's go on to the next question. Okay, I've been hearing for some time now that Seal blows Neo and Ontology out of the water for best Chinese blockchain. Would you agree? We've not looked into Seal much, so can't really comment on that. And it's not in our system yet. Actually, maybe it is. Okay, see, we do have Seal here. Let's take a look. Okay, not so good. Okay, so let me just see where it's ranking. So it's ranking 74th on the Tokenmetrics rank. And I mean, Neo is definitely much better. Neo is 7th in their rank. And what was the other one? Ontology? So in our opinion, it's not really true. All right, next question. Is Binance buying CoinMarketCap good for the space, or are they getting too big? Yeah, I mean, I think good question, good question. So is Binance buying CoinMarketCap? First of all, I think from Binance's side, that was a great boss move. I mean, that was a boss move. You buy one of the biggest companies out there, traffic-wise in crypto. They get the most traffic in all of crypto. Because if we go to CoinMarketCap and look at their traffic here, right? So let me just pull this up. So CoinMarketCap's traffic, they receive 36 million visits last month. So 36 million unique visitors a month. And if we compare that versus Binance.com, because Binance is nowhere close to that. I think Binance is about half of that. Binance receives 23 million visits last month. So really, they're buying attention. They're buying eyeballs, right? Because if we go here, they should have competition. Let me just pull this up here. Let me see what else they have. So Binance, I mean, from the perspective of Binance, it's a great move because they're buying eyeballs, and eyeballs are king. Attention is king. So if we go here to, if we go to investing, right? This is specifically the category of investing. Traffic-wise, why isn't this showing me traffic? Okay. So Binance is here. So anyway, traffic-wise, because let's compare this to TradingView. TradingView's traffic is 83 million, right? So I think Binance is buying the attention that now they can really go through and they can advertise Binance all over. They can really just turn this to Binance market cap and really just get their brand out there to a whole new audience, because there are people out there that go to CoinMarketCap that don't use Binance and they want to get the name out there even more. So from their perspective, it's huge, it's big. And Binance also mentioned that they have one other company they have to announce that they'll be buying. I mean, I don't know what company it's going to be, but I mean, looking at the traffic, if they want to get attention of traders, I mean, TradingView, I mean, they get 83 million people. If they can buy that and put that under the Binance portfolio, that'll be a boss move as well. Now, back to your question, is this good for crypto? I mean, honestly, I think yes. You know, I think it's good for crypto because CoinMarketCap was bootstrapped. They funded themselves. They made most of their money from advertising, from their API as well. So I mean, because for example, Tokenmetrics, we use the API to put in some data, the pricing data and stuff. So CoinMarketCap was going to go through a tough stretch because we're going into a global recession. So I mean, maybe crypto advertising could be down because maybe their traffic was probably down since the 2017-2018 bull run. So they probably weren't making as much money as December 2017 and January 2018. So they've already been through a pretty bad crypto bear market. And now anticipating that maybe crypto can go through an even worse bear market if people aren't spending, if ICOs and crypto companies aren't spending money on advertising on CoinMarketCap, there goes their income, right? And who knows, maybe even the same thing with the API. So, and the fact that they didn't raise any VC money. So I think that the founder was also probably just tired. He maybe just wanted to have an exit. So he saw really that being a good time to take an exit and give the company to somebody who wanted to run it and take it to the next level. Because looking at just really how Brandon ran the company, I mean, he's done a great job, but he was anonymous. So it seems like he didn't really want to be in the spotlight or have that media attention. And to me, it seems like he also saw that for the company to grow to the next level, they had to become a more publicly facing company, and that was something somebody else had to do. So that's why when he sold the company to Binance, he stepped down, and now they have some other CEO that's now going to be more publicly facing. So to him, it was really kind of passing the baton to somebody else who could now take the company to the next level by being more publicly facing, and he didn't want to sacrifice his privacy by doing that. So, I mean, I think it's a win-win for both parties, a win-win for both sides. And Binance claims they'll keep the company very independent, and they won't really mess up with how everything is structured. If they stick by that, and they will really just help the company scale and help it with financing, then I think it's a win-win for crypto, right? Because keeping CoinMarketCap around is better than having them go out of business because they couldn't foster the recession and depression we're going into. Okay, on to the next question. Have you seen the USDT D chart, tether dominance, and printing through the roof? What does it mean? No, I've not seen the chart. Let me Google this for a second and see what pops up. Okay. Okay, so how do I read this? Okay, so this is the weekly chart. So this is market cap dominance. Okay, so this is percentage dominance. Okay, I have no idea how to read this. Do they give us info on how to read this? Okay, let me go back to Google. Just give me 1 second here. So tether dominance versus what? Okay, this is not really giving us much information. Okay, you said USDT.D chart. Okay, I'm not seeing it with the D. What does the D mean? Maybe somebody can help me with this in the comments below. Let me take a look at the comments. Okay, yeah, I'm not really sure I understand the question, but tether dominance, if you're talking about dominance versus other stablecoins, then yes, I mean, Tether has the most volume versus all the other stablecoins out there, right? I mean, it's nowhere close. And this really comes from having first mover advantage. And from a marketing and branding perspective, if you're first in the consumer's mind, you're pretty much, you're king, right? The only way somebody can displace you in the consumer's mind is by creating something else they can be first in, right? This is kind of a branding concept, but this is really one of the key things to marketing and branding. So for other stablecoins to dethrone Tether really has to just catastrophically fail epically, or other stablecoins have to create something new and innovative and be the first in that. So for example, with DAI is the first decentralized stablecoin. So it's basically creating its own category, its own niche, and dominating that. And then maybe eventually it can surpass Tether, right? Because maybe people lose faith in a centralized stablecoin. But I mean, if the question is about dominance being through the roof, yes. I mean, Tether is king on dominance and has the most trading volume for any stablecoin out there. It just means people like liquidity. People like going to the most liquid stablecoin. And that's what really they want. I mean, so they don't really care about all the press problems Tether has had and possible scandals and lawsuits. They just care about that. Okay, King Nick says, check USDT on TradingView. Tether market cap jumped by 1.5 billion. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, so USDT. Let me remove the D. Okay, so this is the mark. Wow. Okay. Holy cow. Okay. I see what everybody's talking about here. Let's drill down here. Okay. Let me just go back to the weekly. I mean, this is insane. Okay. I mean, yeah. I'm not sure why this is happening. They obviously printing more tether. Okay. So, what does this mean? Probably not a good look, but I mean, it seems that hasn't stopped Tether from being the #1 stablecoin based on volume anytime soon. The question is, do they have the actual reserves? And that remains to be seen. Our team prefers DAI as a stablecoin. Obviously, DAI has nowhere close to the trading volume that Tether has. But I mean, I would say I would only use Tether going in and out if it's something short term, right? It may be if it's the only liquid way to store your whatever you're selling. I would say use Tether for that. Maybe you're trading. I think Tether is mainly used for traders, people going in and out. Long term, I mean, I would not really use it. Maybe on a platform like Celsius, maybe, right, for lending, where I know there's insurance on that. But for anything else, I mean, caveat emptor, right? Buyer beware. Buyer beware, for sure. Let me see what people say here in the comments. Okay, Sean says, if the US is printing money, would it make sense that Tether is printing more Tether? Possibly. I mean, I would have to check and see, because is it pegged exactly to the circulating supply of the US dollar? I mean, if that's the case, okay, then that makes sense. Okay, I mean, if Tether is pegged exactly to the circulating supply, but my understanding was that it wasn't. But I mean, I don't really use Tether much, so that's really outside of my wheelhouse. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Okay. Next question. Do you think Zilliqa will be huge in the future, taking some shares from Ethereum, being the first one implementing sharding? I know you were a fan. Is it still the case? Not really. I mean, long story short, not really. More bullish on Ethereum than Zil. So obviously ETH is ranked 2 on our token metrics rank. If we go to Zil, the rank is 24th, while the market cap rank is 83rd. So, I mean, it's a decent project, okay? I mean, now this is pretty short term. If we go to long term is 12th, so it's actually pretty good long term, right? Long term rank 12th versus market cap rank of 83. So that's really, really good, right? And Ethereum is #1. So, I mean, long story short, is it going to dethrone Ethereum? No. But I mean, with the long-term rank as of today of 12, that's a pretty good rank. So if you're building a portfolio with more than 10 cryptocurrencies, let's say 20 cryptocurrencies, having that in there is definitely a wise move for sure. But I mean, we don't anticipate it dethroning Ethereum anytime soon. Okay. How much time we have here? Okay, I'm gonna try to go on for maybe 10 more minutes. Who is leading the alt market? ICX looks better than most. Icon is decent, but I mean, in our opinion, we think Cosmos is a better project long term. So Cosmos is, we think Cosmos would lead Icon. Okay. Next question: Why people are so crazy about Chainlink and Tezos, especially Chainlink? Don't. Okay. Well, I mean, I would say people are crazy about Chainlink because it's being shilled by 4chan. So I would say the 4chan army is pumping Chainlink to the moon and beyond. So I think that's why they like it. I mean, obviously, we've been early on Chainlink since day one. We were probably the most earliest people on Chainlink. We were investors in their ICO, in their private sale, back in 2017, man. Takes us back to the glory days. Now imagine if we hodled until then. Now obviously, I still made money on Chainlink. It was like a 5x. But I mean, if we hodled all the way till today, man, would have been a nice cash flow. Then same thing with Tezos. Tezos, people like Tezos because, first of all, it is a good project, right? Tezos is a good project, but the staking is huge. All the exchanges have adopted staking. And so I think that's why people really are flocking to Tezos. Over 80% of holders of Tezos are staking, which is incredible. And I think it's because it's easy to stake via exchanges. All the major exchanges have Tezos staking available. Now back to Chainlink. Chainlink, we think, is a decent project, but in our opinion, the hype over exceeds the actual technology. I mean, decent technology, but there's way too much hype on it. So, I mean, it's definitely a project to move cautiously with. I believe it was on Tika Tiwari's 5 coins to 5 million. And first of all, his list has not really done well, at least from the prior list we've seen. And that list, in our opinion, is not going to do well. So, I mean,
You know the deal, please don't take the L.
don't take that L.
Never taking no L's if the Lord.
Don't take that L. So definitely, if you haven't already, definitely recommend you join Tokenmetrics to avoid taking L's on lists like those. I mean, because he had Numerai, he had Data. I mean, those are projects that people gave up on in 2017. Now, obviously, he could be right, possibly, right? And we could be wrong. But, I mean, we have a pretty good track record. Obviously, no investor is perfect, and we all know that, whether me or Tico or anybody else. But, I mean, our track record has been pretty good. I mean, like, we were invested in Chainlink, ICO, Tezos ICO. So those projects people now think are doing well, but we were in them early, and we made money on them. But going forward, we think that list is not a good list, right? But now, in regards to these projects, Chainlink on Tokenmetrics has been scoring pretty well. It's typically been in the top 20. Let me pull it up here. So looking at Chainlink long term. So long term, Chainlink is 29th on the Tokenmetrics index. Tezos is 13th. So we prefer Tezos at the moment, long term, right? Meaning more than 1 year out. So kind of take that in perspective. So going back to your question here from the AMA, I mean, people are crazy about Chainlink because 4chan is pumping it. So if 4chan is pumping it, you definitely want to be cautious. Tezos, people like Tezos because of that, of staking, kind of like having that dividend extra cash flow, especially in times like this, where there's lots of uncertainty and people all anticipate we're going into a recession. So you want to have assets that pay you to hold. So, but for them to pay you to hold, you have to like whatever they're paying you in, right? So with Tezos, if they're giving you more Tezos, whether it's like 6% annually or whatever the rate is, you have to believe that in 1 year later or in the future, it's going to be worth more than it is. So Tezos has lots of endorsements and adoption from exchanges. So that's really why people think it's doing well. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Okay. Ian, coming up next, this coming week, we'll be having Michael Turpin of BitAngels and Coin Agenda. He's a famous angel investor in the crypto space. So he's coming up this coming week. Okay. Tim Draper, investing in Indian startups, Indian crypto startups. What are the hottest ones in your opinion? Well, I mean, in my opinion, Matic Network is probably the best Indian company out there. So, I mean, that's definitely has been in our Tokenmetrics ratings long term for a while in the top 10. It still is. Outside of that, I mean, we were investors in 1101, but that hasn't really fared out so well at the moment. Right now, it's basically an L. So that's our exposure to Indian companies. Also, I would say Nucleus Vision, but that kind of hasn't really recovered since the last bull run. But I would say, in my opinion, the best Indian company that I know of is Matic Network at the moment. I know Y0X is an Indian crypto exchange that was Binance, I think, either invested in them or acquired them. So that people have been talking about that a lot, but we haven't really done a deep dive on them, so I can't really comment much on that. But with the recent news coming out of India, and with them now allowing crypto trading in India, it definitely has opened up the market for investors. So, I mean, Tim Draper was an investor in Nucleus Visions, so, I mean, maybe he's going to invest in that, I don't know. But, I mean, to my recollection, that project has pretty much been dead since the ICO bubble popped. But, I mean, that's all I can really say. I mean, in terms of Indian projects, to my knowledge, Matic Network is the best. But let me know, have I missed any projects, any Indian projects out there we should keep an eye on in the crypto space? All right, next one. Billionaire investor Jim Breyer drops Ethereum and crypto. Okay, not sure if this is news or speculation. Do you think real estate property values will double in the next 5 to 10 years, like after the 2008 recession? Okay, I mean, first of all, I would say I don't invest in real estate, so probably not the best person for this. But looking at this as an outsider, I would say, okay, so we all assume that we're going into a recession and possibly depression, right? Because this is going to be worse than 2008. We'll have rising inflation because of the printing of money and quantitative easing. And we'll also have rising unemployment because people will be out of jobs. I mean, we have over 10 million jobless claims that have been filed in the last few weeks. So unemployment could reach 15%, maybe even 20% unemployment. So factoring that in, we're going into recession, possibly depression. So if that happens, real estate prices will drop. All asset classes will be repriced. So everything that was overpriced will now be available at a discount, at a bargain. So if that's happening with real estate prices, that means if you're a real estate investor or just investing in any asset class, now would really be the good time to buy. Well, not now, but I would say in the coming few years, 1 to 2 years. Because real estate itself also, the impact of the recession is always delayed. So, for example, when stocks crash and they go through a bear market and recession, because real estate is very illiquid, it's an illiquid asset, it's not going to happen just like that. It's going to take time for people to recalibrate the prices and realize that they overpriced them and people now aren't buying as much. So it's going to take 1 to 2 years. But I mean, I've been getting hit up by a bunch of realtors to look at houses. So the fact that they're cold calling and cold emailing a lot more aggressively now lets me know that the pain is already being felt. I saw recently that lots of landlords are now trying to make it easier for their tenants. Like I heard that Grant Cardone is now giving out his properties basically 3 months free of rent. So people who sign deals for 15 months will get it at a price of 12 months. So, and I'm seeing this across lots of other different landlords in the real estate space. So it seems like people are definitely feeling the pinch, especially those people who are over leveraged. So, I mean, going back to your question, will we see values double in the next 5 to 10 years? I would say, I mean, nobody knows. Nobody really knows, right? All we can do is speculate. But I think it's going to take a couple of years, maybe 2 years, maybe even longer, who knows, for prices to really crater and bottom. And once that happens and people buy the dip, long term, yes, prices could recover. I mean, they probably will recover. Whether they'll double, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if we factor in that we have hyperinflation or inflation, yes, prices will increase, but purchasing power will decrease, which really makes things very, very tough. I mean, so for real estate prices to double in 5 to 10 years, I think if they do, it's going to be more towards 10 years. But maybe we go through a hyperinflation period in the US where prices just, because of the printing of money, I mean, become fiat currency become totally worthless, and the prices double. But the people who can afford those houses decreases. I mean, so if that were to happen, this would be like a super depression. I'm not even sure what that would be called. I mean, because we cannot allow prices to double, but in a way, we need to, right? Because the entire economy has to reset. Because, I mean, the government keeps on printing money, and that's really the pathway we're on. Because prices will increase, but purchasing power will decrease. So that means less people will be buying homes because less people will be able to qualify for mortgages, and that means renting will increase. So if anything, if you're a real estate investor, following that logic, assuming my non-realtor, my outsider looking in perspective is right, that would mean you would buy the dip in the next few years during this recession, buying real estate and then renting it out, which is what most people do, right? I think really the industry that would be affected the most would be the flippers, right? People who buy houses to flip them, people who buy houses, fix them, and flip. I think that industry is probably going to be dead in the coming years. I mean, who knows for how long, but I would say during a recession, I think it's going to be dead. Unless you're buying the homes that are distressed, like buying them on foreclosures and auctions maybe. But if you're just regularly buying regular homes and fixing them and flipping them, that industry is probably going to be down. But hey, I'm just an outsider looking at things. But if anything, if less people can qualify for mortgages, there'll be more renters. And if there are more renters, I mean, it's basically a renter's bull market, because renters will have no choice but to rent. If you can qualify for a mortgage, you have to rent. You have to have a place to live. Now, maybe you rent in a place or a house you don't want because you can't afford it. Maybe this is the best you can afford, but renting is going to go up based on that logic. So if anything, I mean, being a renter, being a landlord, renting out places would be the way to go. So if anything, real estate will still be booming, but it will be kind of in a different space. But hey, I mean, I don't dabble in real estate, not my expertise. I focus on crypto, but to answer your question, I think that's kind of where things are going. All right, let's see what people think. Let's check the comments. What are your thoughts on Casper Labs? I would say if you're on Tokemetrics, go to the IEO section. We have our review on Casper Labs. Definitely check that out. G5 says you're getting it in tonight. he's having a good one. Well, I mean, after this, I'm gonna go watch Homeland. But that's my show every Sunday night. Gonna watch Homeland, then gonna watch Westworld. Those two shows. But yeah, I mean, I'm just here quarantined, having a good time, just trying to, enjoy the crypto slowdown, the market slowdown, the recession. So just having a good time. Hope everybody's having a good night as well. If you're liking this live stream, be sure you're subscribed, share with your friends. I mean, we should get more people watching this show. Our channel has been growing, the new channel on Tokemetrics. Last month, it grew 40% in a month, which is great, right? So definitely please share with your friends. If you're watching this on the Diary of a Made-Man channel or on Facebook or on Twitter, Periscope, I highly encourage you go subscribe to the Tokemetrics channel, because we're putting out daily videos. So you're missing out on content if you're not on there. So actually, subscribe, as that sign says right there, subscribe. All right, next question. Hey Kenneth, what's up? Great to have you here. Paolo says, if the government launched digital dollars, then will the game be over for stablecoins? Good question. So the question is, if central banks and the governments launch digital backed dollars, their own stablecoins, will we need stablecoins? Um, it's hard to say because there's so many factors that my answer will depend on. I would say if those digital dollars are tradable on exchanges, then I mean stablecoins RIP. Okay, okay. I mean, well, Tether, people won't really need Tether. If we can trade, for example, a US dollar-backed stablecoin on Binance, on Coinbase, on these platforms, then yes. I mean, if it's on the blockchain and it's a cryptocurrency, then I mean, who needs Tether? I mean, RIP Tether, yes, because Tether has the scandals and all that stuff. But DAI, I think DAI can still remain around because DAI is really big in the DeFi space because Tether's use case is a centralized stablecoin. If the American Fed, or for that matter, any other dollar or currency-backed stablecoin backed by a central bank is tradable on exchanges and all the exchanges adopt it, nobody's going to need these stablecoins like Tether. But then on the other hand, if they're backed by central banks, they will have lots of regulation and compliance, which Tether does not really have. And I know, so assuming they have lots of regulation and compliance, that's why lots of crypto exchanges don't have fiat gateways because they're not compliant enough to follow, or they don't want to follow all the regulations and compliance. So building an exchange like a Coinbase or Gemini or Kraken, all these exchanges, they have to follow KYC, AML, and also different regulations around custody and holding fiat. That's why the crypto-to-crypto exchanges have less regulation. So for them to adopt a central bank-backed stablecoin, they would really become a fiat gateway. And I don't think lots of crypto exchanges will be able to meet those requirements because they really have to become money transmitters, right? And money transmitters in and of itself is pretty tedious. So here in America, becoming a money transmitter means you have to qualify and register with every state. So 50 states in America, you have to register with each one. And they all have different laws and you have to pay different fees. They have requirements like having bonding insurance, having X amount of actual assets, and having insurance. All these different requirements that make it tough for crypto-to-crypto exchanges to follow. So actually, if anything, I don't think it would kill those currencies, right? Now, assuming Binance, I know Binance US is in the process of getting those licenses, and Coinbase. I would say in the US, it would kill those stablecoins like Tether, because if Coinbase and Binance US and Gemini and all those other companies have money transmitter licenses, then they don't need to list Tether. They can just list the actual Fed-backed stablecoin. But I would say outside the US, or for crypto exchanges that don't care, Tether would still have a need. So I'm actually going to go back on my answer and change it. I would say outside the US, yes. In the US, Tether could really have competition. Now for DeFi, I don't think a centralized backed stablecoin like by the US dollar, by the Fed, would really get traction in DeFi, because DeFi, the entire premise is to have decentralized stablecoins. However, with what happened recently with MakerDAO and DAI, we did see them add USDT as a stablecoin that is part of the ecosystem. So I think if that were to happen, they probably could add that there, but I don't think it would really kill DAI and their use case and what they're building. So I mean, lots of factors that depend on each other. So it's kind of hard to say, but looking at it from that perspective, I think that's what would happen. All right, man. So I think that's enough. We've gone 3 hours straight, solo dolo. Thank you all for being here on the live stream. Thank you for all the support. We've had people from all over, from Facebook, Twitter, Periscope. Thank you all for the support. Be sure to sign up for Tokenmetrics if you haven't yet already. 14-day free trial. Also join the affiliate program as well if you haven't already. I mean, so as mentioned before, we're going to work on fixing the issue with the forum so people can receive email notifications and sign up and activate their accounts So stay tuned. We'll try to sort out the issue. Our emails have been going out through Amazon because we host a server ourselves. So I put together everything myself. So I have to go through and check why emails aren't going through. But stay tuned on that. As mentioned, upcoming interview this week with Michael Turpin. Actually, let me get the date for you so everybody knows when we're having that interview. Just give me 1 second. So that interview is going to be... Actually, we have 2 interviews. So Friday, April 10th, 4 p.m. AMA, live stream AMA with Michael Turpin of Bit Angels and Coin Agenda Conference in Vegas. And then on Wednesday, April 8th, we're also doing a live stream with Hasib Awan of Ifani, formerly known as Don't Port. So it will be about blockchain security and how to protect yourself from getting SimSwap hacked, because we know lots of people have been getting hacked via SimSwaps. So he's built a company and a platform, really a mobile carrier that that protects you from getting hacked via SimSwaps. So pretty cool. He'll go through the entire process of how that works. So with that being said, thank you so much for all the support. It's great to have you here. And as usual,
Landed on the moon and the land bomb.
the moon is not the limit, to the moon and beyond. Until next time, thank you. Since the creation of the internet, every industry has been turned upside down. Amazon changed retail. Uber changed transportation. YouTube changed video forever. With the invention of crypto, money is next. At the speed technology is growing, the future of money and securities are digital. 9 out of 10 millennials do not trust banks. The value of money relies on trust. Government debt is higher than it's ever been before. Central banks continue to print money. Fortunately, the world has a new solution. Experts predict in 7 years, 10% of the world's economy will be in crypto-based assets. Today, 1 billion people have access to the financial industry. Crypto is about empowering the other 6 billion people by banking the unbanked. Do not underestimate this. Do you wish you invested in Google, Amazon, or Netflix before anyone ever knew about them? $1,000 invested in Netflix turned to over $500,000. At Token Metrics, we help you find the next Netflix. Token Metrics users think differently about investing. They are early adopters looking for financial freedom. They are people who see a better world. A world without international borders. We believe in a world where everyone has access to the next financial revolution. At Token Metrics, we are creating a bridge that gets you to that revolution. We will help you make sound investments in this new world. The world's best investors do not rely on their intuition. They embrace technology and AI to invest. Token Metrics uses AI to find invisible patterns in data to help you invest and trade in crypto. In the past, we have used our data-driven system to achieve financial freedom. Now, we are giving you the keys. We created Token Metrics to be the only platform you'll ever need to make money in crypto. We give you AI and access to crypto experts at the best price. The moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond.
Disclaimer. Token Metrics Media LLC does not provide individually tailored investment advice and does not take a subscriber's or anyone's personal circumstance into consideration when discussing investments. Nor is it registered as an investment advisor or broker-dealer in any jurisdiction. Information contained herein is not an offer or solicitation to buy, hold, or sell any security. The Token Metrics team has advised and invested in many blockchain companies. A complete list of their advisory roles and current holdings can be viewed here at tokenmetrics.com/disclosures.